Chapter 21. Shui Clan? Umph. If you want to see me, you should at least ask Shui Zhongshan or Shui Wanqian to come. You're not qualified for me to show myself. The mysterious voice snorted coldly. Shui Tianwu's face turned even paler. Shui Zhongshan and Shui Wanqian were the two ancestors of the Shui clan. They were like living bodhisattvas. The mysterious expert casually called out the names of the two ancestors. Could it be that they were from the same era? This caused Shui Tianwu to feel an indescribable chill in his heart. Senior, I'm from the Imperial Sacred Court. Hearing this, Yi Xiangmei's face was also covered in cold sweat. As an elder of the Imperial Sacred Court, you should be recruiting geniuses to strengthen the power of the Empire. Not only did you violate the rules of the Imperial Sacred Court, you even secretly helped them. It seems that Xie Ying has been in seclusion for too long. You juniors have forgotten the consequences of violating the rules of the Imperial Sacred Court. The mysterious voice spoke once again. Xie, the head of the disciplinary court? Hearing the name Xie Ying, even that elder Luo's expression changed enormously. As for Yi Xiangmei, her face had already turned deathly pale. I don't want to be disturbed by external forces. Now, take your people and leave. Although the mysterious voice's tone was calm, it was filled with an unquestionable meaning. Senior, can you tell me your name? Otherwise, I won't feel good when I return. Shui Tianwu looked at Qin Yu, who had already returned to the Qin clan. He could not hide the unwillingness on his face. Scram! The mysterious voice roared, and a sound wave that seemed to have materialized appeared. The three of them from Shui clan were sent flying while coughing up blood. Let's go. Shui Tianwu's eyes were filled with fear. He could not care less about his reputation and left with the black troopers. Young Master Tianwu. Shui Luoyu still had not recovered from the previous incident. When he saw the originally insufferably arrogant Shui Tianwu being defeated like a stray dog, his face instantly became incomparably pale. The father and son of the Ma clan and the first elder of the Qin clan were also shocked. They did not expect the Shui clan, who had a powerful backer, to fall to such a state. On the other hand, Qin Tianhu and the other direct descendants felt as if they had ascended from hell to heaven. For a moment, they were unable to react. Now it's time for us to settle the score. Watching Shui Tianwu leave, Qin Yu's cold gaze fell on Shui Liu, Ma Junlong, First Elder, and the others. Young clan head, we didn't want to betray you. We were bewitched by the First Elder. Patriarch, it seems like we've served the family well in the past. Please spare us this time. Qin Yu's gaze sent chills down the spines of the Ma and Shui family warriors, as if they had fallen into an ice cave. The branch elders beside the Great Elder all left the Great Elder and knelt before Qin Tianhu and Qin Yu, begging for mercy. This caused the pale-faced First Elder to appear quite miserable as he stood alone. Umph, the clan has nurtured you with all its might, allowing you to cultivate to your current level. However, when the clan is in trouble, you actually betrayed the enemy. Tell me, what use do the clan have for you? Looking at the fence-sitters, Qin Yu's cold gaze didn't waver in the slightest. The fact that this group of people could betray him today was enough to show that they had no loyalty to speak of. Letting them return to the clan would only leave behind hidden dangers. It was better to completely eliminate them now. In Qin Yu's view, the Qin clan should be like before, where the branch families and direct descendants didn't get along well and were in a state of disunity. It was better to leave the direct descendants behind and focus on developing. They wouldn't have to worry about not being able to grow stronger in the future. Qin Tianhu, who was originally a little tempted, also gradually turned cold when he heard Qin Yu's words. Indeed, if it wasn't for the appearance of that mysterious expert, their Qin clan would have already been destroyed. You all heard it. They didn't even let the elders of the Qin clan off. Naturally, they won't give us a way out. Since that's the case, why don't we fight it out with them? Shuelu, Ma Yifei, and the First Elder looked at each other and roared. When the despairing cultivators of the three clans heard this, true energy surged from their bodies as killing intense soared. City Lord, aren't we going to make a move? Agar beside Shang Lingfeng asked in a low voice. No need. Shang Lingfeng looked at Qin Yu with interest. 2 days ago, when Qin Yu came to find him, he said that it would be fine as long as he stopped the external forces. As for the internal strife of the three clans, it wasn't part of their agreement. Therefore, he wanted to see what ability Qin Yu had to allow the weakened Qin clan to deal with the cultivators of the three clans who were gradually going crazy. Dragon Soul. Sensing the killing intent of the three clans, Qin Yu smiled coldly as killing intent flashed in his eyes. Roar. Accompanied by a dragon's roar, a huge creature descended from the sky and landed in front of the Qin clan cultivators. The ground shook heavily and a violent gale was set off. This is Sky Martial Realm Demonic Beast, Blood Flame Qilin Beast. Run. The cultivators of the three clans, who were originally aggressive, couldn't resist the blood flame Qilin beast that was surrounded by blazing blood chi. After a violent commotion, they all scattered and fled. Burn! The dragon soul in the blood flame Qilin beast grinned coldly. The blood flame Qilin beast suddenly opened its mouth and spat out several feet wide flames. Those flames were so terrifying that any cultivator below the sky martial realm would be turned to ashes upon contact. After a brief moment, countless cultivators of the three clans were dead, and only a few were left standing. Most of them were Earth Martial Realm cultivators like Shui Lu, Ma Junlong, and Great Elder Zeng. Qin Yu waved his hand. With a poochie sound, those several people were directly swallowed by the blood flame Qilin beast. At this point, the Qin clan was the only clan that was stronger than the other three clans in Dragon Spirit City. Qin Yu tells Qin Tianhu to take some men to raid the Shui clan's property. As for the Ma clan, Qin Yu ordered the Dragon Soul to control the blood flame Qilin beast. After arranging everything, Qin Yu goes to Yi Xiangmei, who has an unsightly expression, and that old man, Elder Luo. Elders, I should be considered to have passed the test, right? Qin Yu had a faint smile on his face. No one could tell that he had ordered hundreds of cultivators from the three clans to be killed. Of course, this is your token. You have to report to the Sacred Academy within a month at the latest. Elder Luo chuckled and handed a token to Qin Yu. Thank you, Elder. Qin Yu took the token and cupped his fists. Qin Yu, may I know who the senior living in seclusion in the city is? Elder Luo rolled his eyes and asked with a chuckle. Yi Xiangmei, who originally had an indifferent expression and did not say a word, also had a slight change in expression as she listened carefully. Well, I suggest that you don't provoke him. Otherwise, the consequences will be dire. Qin Yu smiled mysteriously and left. Elder Luo fell into deep thought as he watched Qin Yu leave. Yi Xiangmei's expression changed as she glanced at the dead Shui Yutong and flew into the air. When Elder Luo saw this, he did not stay any longer and quickly flew away as well. When the cultivators in the city saw Yi Xiangmei and Elder Luo fly away, they couldn't hide the yearning in their eyes. Flying in the air was something only martial Emperor Realm experts were capable of. Chapter 22. Following the destruction of the Shui and Ma families, the Qin family gained full control of the three families' businesses and became the strongest power in Dragon Spirit City. The City Lord's mansion did not react to the Qin family's actions. As for the other forces, they did not dare to provoke the Qin family after seeing the blood flame Qilin beast. They only hoped that the Qin family could get some soup after eating the meat. The next day, Qin Yu came to the City Lord's mansion. City Lord, I'm here because I'm about to leave for the Imperial Sacred Academy. I have something to discuss with you. After seeing Shang Lingfeng, Qin Yu went straight to the point. What is it? Shang Lingfeng, who was sipping tea, asked curiously. I want to ask you to protect the Qin family from other forces while you're in Dragon Spirit City. As Qin Yu spoke, he took out a jade box from his sumaru pouch and placed it on the tea table. This is your reward. This is, hearing Qin Yu's words, Shang Lingfeng took the jade box and opened it. His eyes narrowed. Inside the jade box lay 2 spiritual pills. One was completely blood red, while the other was sparkling and translucent. However, Both spiritual pills were surrounded by spiritual veins and emitted a medicinal fragrance. They were obviously not ordinary. These are fourth-grade spiritual pills, blood spirit pill and mortal shedding pill. Chinyu said, the blood spirit pill could awaken the bloodline of demonic beasts with powerful bloodlines. The stronger the bloodline, the greater the awakening. The mortal shedding pill could make demonic beasts evolve and gain intelligence. If the demonic beasts had a high cultivation, they could even speak and take human form. These two spiritual pills were prepared by Chinyu for Shangling Feng's Scarlet Lightning Python. With these two spiritual pills, it would not take long for the Scarlet Lightning Python to become a fourth-grade sky martial realm demonic beast. If the Scarlet Lightning Python's bloodline was awakened, its potential would increase greatly. Shangling Feng might even get a martial king or martial emperor demonic beast in the future. All right, I accept your conditions. As long as I'm in the city, I will protect the Qin clan. However, if someone who has surpassed the Tianqi layer attacks, just as Qin Yu expected, Shang Lingfeng immediately agreed. Don't worry, there is no need for the city lord to appear for existences that surpass the heaven realm. Qin Yu said directly. That's good. Shang Lingfeng took a deep look at Qin Yu. He saw that his guess about Qin Yu back then was right. Qin Yu is indeed related to Master Gu Yuan, who lived in seclusion in the city. Then I'll take my leave. Qin Yu did not linger in the Castellan manor. After leaving, he went straight to the depths of the trading market. Gu Yuan, who was dressed in linen clothes, was already waiting in the shabby restaurant. However, compared to the last time they met, Gu Yuan's condition was clearly much better. His originally sickly pale face had gradually recovered its rosy color. He's here. Gu Yuan greeted faintly and poured a glass of good wine for Qin Yu. Thank you for yesterday's matter. Qin Yu clasped his fists together. Before the people from the Imperial Sacred Academy came to Dragon Spirit City, he first went to the Castellan Manor and asked the Castellan, Shang Lingfeng, to take action with the token of the Bai Wu Commandery Prince's manor. After that, he went to look for Gu Yuan. Shang Lingfeng and the Bai Wu Commandery Prince's manor were only forces on the surface. Qin Yu's real trump card was Master Gu Yuan in front of him. I've taken action once in exchange for a complete soul cultivation method. Speaking of which, I've profited. Gu Yuan smiled faintly. It was with the complete version of the Myriad Souls technique that Qin Yu gave him that his soul recovered at an astonishing speed. Now, not only did he have enough soul power to maintain the three souls sealing formation. Previously, because he wanted to recover his soul power, his cultivation had been delayed for more than 10 years. Finally, it had increased again. I'm here this time to make a long-term deal with you. Qin Yu smiled. What he wanted was not just to let Master Gu Yuan take action. That will depend on what chips you can take out. Gu Yuan looked at Qin Yu with interest. To be honest, after the urgent recovery of his soul power, Gu Yuan did not have what he needed now. However, when he saw Qin Yu's calm and confident look, he could not help but be curious. 1. Resurrection Elixir. Qin Yu looked straight at Gu Yuan and said faintly, Bang! Gu Yuan suddenly stood up and looked at Qin Yu in a daze. You have Resurrection Elixir? Gu Yuan's reaction this time was even more excited than when he heard that he could recover his soul power. Not now. However, I can give you a guarantee. Within 2 years, I can give you a resurrection elixir. Qin Yu said seriously. How can I believe your words? After a while, Gu Yuan calmed down and sat down slowly. It's simple, because you can only believe my words. Qin Yu smiled gently. When Qin Yu discovered the three soul sealing formation and saw Gu Yuan's condition, he roughly deduced Gu Yuan's purpose of imprisoning the dragon vein. That was why he had given him part of the 10,000 soul technique back then. His purpose was to make preparations when he left Dragon Spirit City. Give me a resurrection elixir within 2 years. So, you want me to protect your Qin family for 2 years? Hearing this, Master Guan spoke slowly after a series of changes. Just as Qin Yu said, he could only believe Qin Yu's words now. After all, even with his alchemy skills, he could not refine the resurrection elixir. That's right. Within these 2 years, if the Qin family is in danger that the City Lord Mansion cannot handle, you'll need to help. Anyway, before the chi of the Dragon Vein is exhausted, you probably won't leave Dragon Spirit City. This is something that can be done conveniently. Qin nodded. All right, I'll believe you this time. I'll wait for you for 2 years. Gu Yuan made up his mind. Don't worry, I definitely won't let you down in 2 years. Qin nodded at Gu Yuan and stood up to leave. What's the background of this kid? As he watched Qin Yu leave, the shock in Gu Yuan's heart grew even stronger. After a while, Gu Yuan stood up and entered a secret room in the restaurant. As the array on the floor flickered, Gu Yuan disappeared in an instant. Around 1,000 zhang below the inn, a huge dragon vein visible to the naked eye was confined by a huge, mystical formation. Right below the formation, there was a crystal-clear jade coffin. In the jade coffin, an old woman with white hair and a youthful face lay quietly with a peaceful expression. Although the old woman's complexion was rosy, if one looked closely, they would be able to see that she was not breathing at all, as if she was a corpse. Old woman, I have already obtained clues about the resurrection elixir. Hold on for a few more years. I will definitely let you live. Gu Yuan gently touched the jade coffin and looked at the old woman with a gentle gaze as he muttered to himself. 2 days later, at the Qin family. Xiaoyu, are you going to the Imperial City now? Seeing Qin Yu, who came to bid farewell, Qin Tianhu stood up and was a little reluctant and worried. It will take more than half a month to reach the Imperial City from Dragon Spirit City. It's time to set off now. Qin Yu nodded. In the past 2 days, he had arranged everything clearly. The Qin family's cultivation resources and business transactions were all transported by the White Martial Commandery Prince's mansion. With Shang Lingfeng and Gu Yuan in the city, even if the Shui family wanted to target the Qin family, they would not be able to find an opportunity now. Chapter 23. Wait. Seeing that Qin Yu was about to leave, Qin Tianhu hurriedly called out to him. After saying that, he opened the secret room in the study and took out a jade box that had been sealed for a long time. This is what your father gave me when he left the family. Qin Tianhu said solemnly as he passed the jade box to Qin Yu. My father left it behind? What is it? Qin Yu took the jade box and asked curiously. When your father left, he only said that he would pass the jade box to you when you were strong enough. Qin Tianhu shook his head. As for what it is, I have no idea. Crack. Qin Yu opened the jade box. There was a light green jade pendant in the jade box. The jade pendant looked ancient, and there were lifelike daffodils carved on it. There is the fluctuation of a soul power seal. The moment Qin Yu touched it, his eyebrows twitched as he felt a fluctuation of soul power from a jade pendant. No, it's not just a soul power seal. This seal can only be unsealed by one's cultivation level. Qin Yu was slightly surprised. To be able to use a double seal, it seemed that his father, whom he had never met before, was not an ordinary person. Second uncle, I will take my leave now. Try not to leave Dragon Spiritual City in the future. Qin Yu kept the jade pendant in his sumaru pouch and left the study after reminding Qin Tianhu. Take care. Qin Tianhu watched Qin Yu leave the family before looking away worriedly. Although Qin Yu had helped the Qin family out of danger, he had also offended the Shui clan. Therefore, Qin Yu would be in great danger when he went to the Imperial City. Fortunately, Qin Yu had the protection of the mysterious expert behind him. Otherwise, Qin Tianhu would not feel at ease letting Qin Yu go to the Imperial City like this. Da-da-da. On the wide official road, Qin Yu rode on a horse and headed to the Imperial City in the center of the Zhenwu dynasty. 5 days passed in the blink of an eye. In these 5 days, Qin Yu had completely left the territory of the Commandery Prince of White Wu and arrived at a wild plain. This desolate plain was called the Ancient Desolate Plain, named after the ancient desolate mountain range on the plain. The Ancient Desolate Plains was extremely vast, spanning across the territories of the 3 commandery kings. After crossing this plain, they would only be separated from the Imperial City by the subduing Dragon River. Whoosh! While Qin Yu was galloping on his horse, a light purple pillar of light suddenly shot up from the distant ancient desolate mountain range. That pillar of light was tens of thousands of meters tall. It shot straight into the clouds and swept through the wind and clouds with astonishing power. Judging from the commotion, it seems like a treasure has appeared. Within the divine dragon ancient seal, the dragon soul said with interest, "Why don't we go over and take a look?" Qin Yu's eyes flashed. He changed his direction and ran towards the ancient desolate mountain range. At this moment, all the warriors in the ancient desolate plains were alarmed and gathered together. Even outside the ancient desolate plains, there were martial artists who saw the light pillar and moved out. About half an hour later, Qin Yu arrived outside the ancient desolate mountain range. After tying the fierce horse to an ancient tree, Qin Yu rushes towards that beam of light at lightning speed with his body as light as a swallow. Along the way, Qin Yu encountered many dangerous demonic beasts, but they were all easily killed by him. Soon, Qin Yu arrived at the depths of the mountain range, in front of a giant mountain peak with countless caves. In the caves on the mountain peak, rays of light shot into the sky and gathered together to form the light pillar. There are quite a lot of people. In addition to Qin Yu, there are dozens of other martial artists who came to the mountain peak. The cultivation of these martial artists was basically in the genuine martial realm and the profound martial realm. Only a few of them were in the earth martial realm. What kind of treasure is hidden in the demonic wind mountain? Judging by its power, it's definitely an extraordinary treasure. Should we go in and take a look? Let's take a look first. With the pressure of this light pillar, we might lose our lives if we're not careful. More and more martial artists gathered at the mountain peak, but no one dared to go in and take a look. There's a restriction fluctuation. It seems that this should be an ancient relic. After sensing the light pillar up close, Qin Yu sensed it more clearly. Strange. It seems to be the fluctuation of dragon blood, but it doesn't seem to be. After sensing it carefully, the dragon soul muttered to itself in confusion. If I can't tell, then it should be something related to the dragon clan. Hearing this, Qin Yu's eyes lit up. It should be. The dragon soul nodded. It would only react if it was something related to the dragon clan. Men, catch 2 people for me to test the power of those light pillars. However, at this moment, a cold and arrogant voice sounded. A cold-faced young man in gorgeous clothes arrived with a group of guards. The cold-faced young man looked to be 16 or 17 years old. His cultivation had entered the earth martial realm, and he was obviously talented. Moreover, the guards around him were all in the earth martial realm, and the 3 leaders were in the sky martial realm. It was obvious that this cold-faced young man had a powerful background. However, the young man's words made all the warriors' expressions change drastically, and they all distanced themselves from him. Looking at the power of those light pillars, if they were caught to test them, they would most likely lose their lives. However, the guards around the cold-faced young man did not care about the warriors' expressions. After hearing the order, 3 warriors in the earth martial realm immediately stepped forward. Like eagles catching chicks, they each caught a fleeing warrior in the Xian martial realm and threw them toward the mountain cave. Puff, puff. However, the moment the 3 warriors in the Xian martial realm touched the white light of the cave, they immediately turned into a rain of blood. Seeing this scene, the warriors who were originally far away quickly fled and disappeared into the mountain range. Even the warriors in the earth martial realm immediately retreated dozens of feet away until it was safe enough to stop. The power of these light pillars seems to be sometimes strong and sometimes weak. As long as we can grasp the pattern, we should be able to enter. The cold-faced young man stared at the light pillars, and a smile appeared on his face. However, after looking around, he found that almost all the gazes in the surroundings had run away, except for Qin Yu, who was still standing indifferently in the same place. Go catch him and try. Listen to my order, and then throw him out. The cold-faced young man ordered indifferently. Whoosh! Immediately, a guard in the 3rd level of the earth martial realm flew out and grabbed at Qin Yu. You're courting death. Qin Yu's gaze was cold. He used his right hand to help the guard, and 100,000 great strength whistled and condensed in his body. Destructive fist. When the warrior in the earth martial realm rushed in front of him, Qin Yu threw out a punch. The violent fist wind was like a ferocious beast coming out of the mountain. It swept up a shocking power that seemed to be able to shatter the sky. Not good. The warrior in the earth martial realm's expression suddenly changed. When he used all his strength, it was already too late. Bang! Qin Yu's fist landed on the warrior in the earth martial realm. A destructive force penetrated the true Qi shield and armor, and forcefully entered the warrior's body and exploded. The warrior in the earth martial realm died. This scene made the cold-faced young man's gaze stagnate. The other guards were also shocked. Boy, you dared to kill a member of the Zhou clan. You have guts. Soon, Zhou Tianlang came to his senses. A strong killing intent appeared on his cold and arrogant face. His gloomy gaze was like that of a poisonous snake, making people shudder. The warriors of the Zhou clan all stared at Qin Yu with murderous intent. Their violent true qi surged. As soon as Zhou Tianlang gave the order, they would immediately tear Qin Yu into pieces. Chapter 24. The lives of your family members are important. Do you think you can trample on other people's lives? Qin Yu smiled as if he didn't see the killing intent of Zhou Tianlang and the others. You're just a profound martial realm ant. You're courting death. Zhou Tianlang glanced at a guard in the second level of the sky martial realm. Whoosh! The guard in the second level of the sky martial realm immediately dashed out. A stream of elemental energy on his body shoots towards Qin Yu like a javelin with a sharp sound of breaking the air. Dragon soul, destroy them. Qin Yu crossed his arms in front of his chest and stood there motionlessly. Leave it to me. Inside the divine dragon ancient seal, the dragon's soul grinned, overflowing with killing intent. Whoosh! In the next moment, a colossal figure descended from the sky without any warning. A 3-meter-long pillar of raging flames spat out at the true origin waterfall, directly shattering it. It was the dragon's soul controlling the blood flame Qilin, a demonic beast in the 7th level of the sky martial realm. Zhou Tianlang and the others' faces changed. They didn't expect that Qin Yu would have such a powerful demonic beast protecting him. Boom! The dragon soul didn't care about the Zhou clan. It immediately controlled the blood flame Qilin and sent the guard flying. Although they were all in the sky martial realm, the difference between the 2nd level of the sky martial realm and the 7th level of the sky martial realm was huge. The guard spat out blood, and half of his body was burnt black. He was already half-crippled. Damn it! Zhou Tianlang's eyes twitched when he saw the guard's half-crippled injuries. His killing intent almost solidified. Kill! The dragon's soul stared at Zhou Tianlang, and the blood flame Qilin flew towards him. Young master, let's go. The other 2 sky martial realm cultivators beside Zhou Tianlang exchanged glances when they saw that. One of them in the 4th level of the sky martial realm rushed out and stopped the blood flame Qilin. The other sky martial realm cultivator took Zhou Tianlang and left. All of you, go and kill that brat for me. Zhou Tianlang ordered the other earth martial realm cultivators when he was taken away by the sky martial realm cultivator. The faces of the earth martial arts realm guards, who had originally planned to retreat, twitched, and their expressions turned sinister. They were all guards who had been trained by the Zhou family since they were young. They did not dare to disobey Zhou Tianlang's orders. Otherwise, not only them, but even their families would be punished according to the clan's rules. Destructive fist. Qin Yu shook his head slightly. His figure flashed, leaving behind several afterimages as he rushed out. Pung pung pung. Amidst the fierce sounds of battle, the earth martial arts realm warriors of the Zhou clan lost their lives in an instant. The destructive fist was a monarch stage martial skill, the first stage of the destructive divine fist. Its power was equivalent to a heaven stage martial skill. With Qin Yu's current cultivation, of course, he could not fully unleash the power of the destruction fist. However, with the addition of the power of the fire dragon lightning physique, It was enough for him to easily fight opponents of a higher cultivation level. Pucci, that guard of the fourth Tianqi layer, after coughing up blood and being seriously injured, activated his potential and ran away. The dragon soul didn't order the blood flame Kirin beast to give chase. Instead, it sat cross-legged on the ground. The blood flame Qilin beast was covered in bloody wounds from the earlier battle. The blood flame Qilin beast's soul will dissipate after a few uses. Long Hun said to Qin Yu when he sensed the blood flame Qilin beast condition. A few uses is enough, said Lin Yun. Qin Yu gives an indifferent smile. A Tian stage demonic beast is only a transitional puppet for him at this stage. Come, let's go in and take a look. After storing the blood flame Qilin beast into the ancient dragon seal, Qin Yu leaped into a cave. What was strange was that the white radiance that killed Qin Yu upon contact did not harm him in the slightest. In a flash, Qin Yu disappeared from the cave. Actually, the situation was just as Zhou Tianlang had guessed. The white light was sometimes strong and sometimes weak. As long as Lin Yun grasped the opportunity, he would be able to pass through safely. With Qin Yu's eyesight, he naturally did not need to test it. He could tell when it was strong and when it was weak with a single glance. After descending through the cave, Qin Yu appeared in a gloomy cave. In all directions of the cave, there were intertwined passageways like an underground maze. Dragon Soul, Qin Yu exclaimed inwardly. The third tunnel on the left. Long Hun immediately sensed the fluctuation it had sensed earlier. Qin Yu followed the tunnel and went deeper. He encountered many fatal traps along the way, but Qin Yu easily dealt with them. It didn't take long for Qin Yu to arrive before a stone door. After taking a look, Qin Yu tapped on the stone door a few times. As his true energy spread out, the restrictions on the stone door were immediately broken. When Qin Yu pushed open the door and entered, an aura that had been sealed for a long time assaulted his senses. Behind the stone door was a small stone room. Other than a stone table, there was only a stone bed. A skeleton sat cross-legged on the bed. Its clothes were stained with dust, indicating that it had died many years ago. So this is the place where a cultivator died. Qin Yu walked over and glanced at the skeleton. Then, his gaze fell on the black ring on its finger. Sumeru ring. Qin Yu picked up the Sumeru ring, and his true energy seeped in. A space of hundreds of feet appeared. In that space, there were millions of high-grade spirit stones, as well as many cultivation methods, martial skills, and spirit pills. It's this map. This aura seems similar to the 9 Serenities Hell Dragon. In addition to the spirit stones, Qin Yu placed the miscellaneous things on the stone table. The dragon soul's gaze was fixed on an ancient map, its eyes burning with passion. 9 Serenities Hell Dragon. Qin Yu's eyes lit up. He didn't expect to get a clue about the real dragon race so quickly. It must be known that the difference between the blood of a monster beast that contains dragon blood and the real dragon bloodline is huge. It is not an exaggeration to say that the difference is like heaven and earth. 100 countries. Qin Yu picked up the ancient map and looked at it for a while. Only then did he realize that the ancient map was incomplete. On the ancient map, he could only vaguely see the words 100 countries. After looking at it for a while, Qin Yu put away the ancient map. Right now, he still couldn't figure out where this ancient map was. But thinking about it, when he went to the Imperial City and entered the Imperial Sacred Academy, he should have a way to figure it out. Essence Dissolving Pill, Scarlet Moon Pill, Tiger Spirit Pill. Qin Yu took out the spirit pills. These were all spirit pills above grade 5. In other words, this skeleton was at least a martial king when it was alive. Pouring the Essence Dissolving Pill and Scarlet Moon Pill on his palm, Qin Yu immediately absorbed the energy of the pills with a thought, leaving only a small pile of ashes. Although these pills were grade 5 spirit pills, Qin Yu was not satisfied with their purity. As the saying goes, every medicine is 30% poisonous. It was the same for spirit pills. Therefore, when he was in the heaven domain, Qin Yu didn't consume spirit pills from the outside world except for the ones he refined himself. The impurities of these spirit pills entered his body, and it was very troublesome to purify them. Boom, boom, boom. Under the impact of the majestic spirit pills, Qin Yu's cultivation immediately soared. In less than half an hour, he broke through 3 layers, and his cultivation reached the peak of the Xian martial realm. I should be able to condense a dragon vein. Feeling the cultivation in his body, Qin Yu performed hand seals and circulated the ancient battle dragon art. Ong, 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 ong. The dragon veins vaguely appeared on the dragon vein, and a majestic dragon roar could be heard. Not long after, the golden dragon vein was connected to his dantian, and a golden dragon vein was quietly condensed. Chapter 25. 15 minutes later, the first branch of the dragon vein was formed. This meant that Qin Yu now had 2 dragon veins. His cultivation speed was twice as fast as before. After successfully forming the dragon vein branch, Qin Yu did not stay any longer and left. At this moment, countless cultivators had already charged into the mountain. At the moment when Qin Yu entered that stone room, the light pillar on the mountain peak had already disappeared. When they saw Qin Yu leaving, the cultivators could not hold back their greed and attacked Qin Yu. The result was obvious. Qin Yu summoned the blood flame Qilin and charged out. When Qin Yu arrived outside the cave, he was about to put away the blood flame Qilin and leave when his ears twitched. Come out. Qin Yu raised his head and looked at a towering ancient tree. He felt a cold, killing intent locking onto him, ready to launch a fatal attack at any moment. You're only in the profound martial realm, but you can sense my presence. Not bad. As the voice sounded, a figure flew down from the ancient tree. It was a middle-aged man in a golden robe with a dignified face. Flying in the air, he's a martial king expert. The faces of the martial artists who had chased him all the way out of the mountain cave changed dramatically, and they all fled. The Zhou clan. Qin Yu looked at the middle-aged man indifferently. Rank 5 martial king. Brat, you've killed dozens of cultivators of my Zhou clan. Cripple your cultivation and come with me to apologize to the second young master. Perhaps the second young master will be in a good mood and not implicate your clan. The martial king landed in front of Qin Yu and said indifferently with his arms crossed, I'll give you a chance. Leave now, and I'll spare your dog life. Qin Yu said calmly, You're courting death. The word dog has obviously enraged the martial king. His face darkens, and a stream of majestic elemental energy rushes towards Qin Yu like an evil dragon baring its fangs and claws. 100 shadow demon steps. Qin Yu's figure slightly swayed. Leaving behind 8 afterimages, he dodged the real Qi evil dragon and rushed towards the martial king. Heaven tier martial skill? I'm afraid this kid has some background. A strange light flashed in his eyes. The martial king rushed forward and collided head-on with Qin Yu in the blink of an eye. 6-finger meridian sealing. The martial king moved both of his hands, and a series of finger shadows flashed as he prepared to seal Qin Yu's movements. Heaven punishing killing intent. Destruction fist force. Qin Yu ignored the fingerprints and infused his heaven-destroying murderous will into the destructive fist force, punching out. Bang! Puff! A muffled explosion rang out. The martial king's body trembled violently. His eyes bulged in disbelief. He saw that Qin Yu's attack had left a bloody hole the size of a fist in his chest. It can't be. When the martial artists who were far away from the battle saw this scene, they were all dumbstruck and stood there in a daze. A Xian martial realm cultivator had killed a martial emperor with a single punch? This scene was simply too dreamy. Qin Yu withdrew his right fist. Looking at the cracked skin on his right hand, a smile appeared on his face. With his current physical defense, he could withstand one Heaven Destroyer's killer's intent without any side effects. Qin Yu took the financial report from the martial king's body, found a wild horse, and rode away. Speaking of which, the martial king had been killed in one move because he had been careless. If he had taken it seriously, Qin Yu would have had to continuously draw out the heaven-punishing killing intent to kill him. 10 days later, Qin Yu rode a wild horse all the way to the Imperial City. The Imperial City was more than 100 times bigger than the Dragon Spirit City. Palaces and palaces stood everywhere. However, Qin Yu was not a country bumpkin who had never seen the world. The imperial city of the Zhenwu dynasty paled in comparison to the sacred city and imperial city in the Qingyun region. Not long after, Qin Yu arrived at the Imperial Sacred Academy in the middle of the imperial city. At this time, it was the freshman assessment period. The square outside the Imperial Sacred Academy was very lively. Normally, the Imperial Sacred Academy would send people to take the assessment in person. Only under special circumstances would the elders of the Sacred Academy go out to recruit disciples. "It's you. You're not dead?" When Qin Yu arrived at the assessment square, a figure came out of the Sacred Academy. When the person saw Qin Yu alive and kicking, he was shocked, and his eyes immediately turned gloomy. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. A cold smile appeared on Qin Yu's face. This person was none other than Zhou Tianlang. Looking at Zhou Tianlang's clothes, it was obvious that he was a student of the Imperial Sacred Academy. "You're pretty fast at running away. You actually managed to avoid a calamity." Zhou Tianlang walks over. He folds his arms across his chest and looks at Qin Yu with an arrogant face. Qin Yu laughed. It seemed that this guy did not know that the martial king he had sent had died in his hands. "It seems that you're also here to take the assessment of the Imperial Sacred Academy. Heh, it's your bad luck to bump into me." Zhou Tianlang sneered and walked up to a young man who seemed to be in charge of the assessment. He whispered something to him. "You're eliminated. Get lost." Soon, the young man in charge of the assessment walked up to Qin Yu and said indifferently. After saying that, the young man turned around and was about to leave. The culprit, Zhou Tianlang, is staring at Qin Yu with a sinister smile. His eyes are filled with killing intent. "Huh." Hearing this, Qin Yu chuckled. Ignoring these two idiots, he started to walk towards the Imperial Holy Institute. Are you deaf? Didn't you hear what I said? Get lost now." Seeing this, the young man's eyes darkened. He reached out to grab Qin Yu and was about to throw him out. "You're courting death." Qin Yu's eyes turned cold. He threw out a punch, and a whistling sound could be heard. Ding, ding, ding. When the fist and the palm collided, the young man's expression changed drastically as if he had been hit by a huge beast. He retreated more than 10 steps. How could this be? The young man stared blankly. With his cultivation of the 7th level of the Earth Martial Realm, he was actually beaten back by Qin Yu. Even if he did not use his full strength, this was still beyond his expectations. "You dare to attack a student of the Sacred Academy? How dare you?" Zhou Tianlang, who had seen Qin Yu's strength, smiled sinisterly and shouted immediately. As long as Qin Yu was charged with this crime, Qin Yu would be dead for sure. Causing trouble in the Imperial Sacred Academy was equivalent to provoking the true martial imperial family. He would definitely die. What happened? Isn't that Chen Feng? Could it be that a new student is causing trouble? Haha, Chen Feng couldn't have been beaten back by that kid, right? That's too lame. The students of the Sacred Academy, who had already attracted the attention of many due to the commotion, quickly gathered over. "I'll kill you." Hearing the mocking discussions around him, the young man's killing intent surged. He moved and was about to kill Qin Yu. Killing intent flashed in Qin Yu's eyes. This time, he planned to completely eliminate Chen Feng before going after Zhou Tianlang. "All of you stop." At this time, a dignified shout could be heard. A mighty middle-aged man in a blue robe walked over with his head held high. "What's going on?" The mighty middle-aged man looked at Qin Yu and Chen Feng with a pair of tiger-like eyes. Chen Feng's body trembled under that gaze that seemed to contain a substantial amount of might. However, Qin Yu's expression remained the same. Chapter 26. It's Elder Lu from the Punishment Institution. They fought in private and were caught red-handed by Elder Lu. I'm afraid these two fellows are going to be in trouble. When the surrounding students saw the dignified middle-aged man, their discussion quieted down. Private fights are strictly prohibited in the sacred institution. Don't you know the rules? The dignified middle-aged man was emitting a powerful aura that made people tremble. He was a martial emperor expert. Elder Lu, This person is disrupting the exam and trespassing into the sacred institution. I'm about to arrest him. Chun Feng, whose body was trembling slightly, was the first to speak, distorting the truth. Your face changes quite quickly. Qin Yu took a glance at that dignified middle-aged man. His expression remained the same as before as he lightly smiled. You didn't follow the rules of the sacred institution and directly entered the sacred institution. Isn't that trespassing? Chen Feng asked sternly. Then you're violating the rules of the sacred institution by eliminating students who haven't taken the exam? Qin Yu said calmly. Don't talk nonsense. What did I do such a thing? Chun Feng's eyelids twitched. If this was verified, you would be in big trouble. Thinking of this, Chen Feng glanced at Zhou Tianlang. Elder Liu, I can testify that Senior Chen Feng did not do such a thing. Zhou Tianlang understood and stood up immediately. On the contrary, he trespassed and even attacked Senior Chen Feng, seriously violating the rules of the sacred institution. You should be severely punished. You didn't queue for the exam. Elder Liu asked Qin Yu after glancing at Zhou Tianlang and Chen Feng with his dignified gaze. That's right. Qin Yu nodded calmly. As soon as he said this, Zhou Tianlang and Chen Feng both laughed sinisterly. Why? Elder Liu was somewhat flabbergasted. There were not many outer court students who could remain calm in front of him. Because I don't need it. As he said this, Elder Liu's face darkened. Qin Yu moved his finger and a token appeared in his hand. This is a 9-star token. Elder Liu's eyes flashed. Zhou Tianlang and Chun Feng's sinister smile suddenly froze. If it's a 9-star token, doesn't that mean he's a 9th-level martial vein master? It can't be. Another genius with a 9th-grade martial vein has appeared. The East Campus has Dong Bai Wenxin, the West Campus has Wan Fenglei, and the South Campus has Chu Han. This year's freshmen are extraordinarily fierce. When the surrounding students saw the 9 dazzling stars on the token that Qin Yu took out, they all exclaimed in shock. That's right. It was indeed sent by an elder of the Sacred Institute. What's your name? Elder Liu took a look at the token and nodded with a smile. Qin Yu. Someone, go and see if there's anyone called Qin Yu among the students personally recruited by the elder. Following Elder Liu's order, in less than 10 breaths of time, Qin Yu's identity was confirmed. This caused a bitter smile to appear on Chun Feng's face as he felt incomparably regretful. There were only a few geniuses with a 9th-grade martial vein in the entire Saint Academy. Each one of them was a genius. Others would try their best to curry favor with him, but he had offended the other party as soon as he entered the Sacred Academy. This guy must die. Killing intent faintly flickered in Zhou Tianlang's sinister eyes. If Qin Yu didn't die, when he matured in the future, he would have no place in the Royal Sacred Academy. Perhaps in the future, he might even become a huge threat to the Zhou family. Go to the freshman hall and receive your student token. Someone will inform you of the specific situation. Elder Liu returned the token to Qin Yu. Elder, I think that the examiners of the Sacred Academy should be selected carefully. Qin Yu put away the token and looked at Chen Feng, whose face was gradually paling. Qin Yu did not say anything else. He glanced at Zhou Tianlang and stepped into the Royal Sacred Academy. You two, follow me. Elder Liu raised his eyebrows slightly and brought the unsightly Zhou Tianlang and the trembling Chun Feng away. Royal Sacred Academy, Freshman Hall. This is your student token. When you wear it, it will automatically emit fluctuations. In the future, you will need to rely on this token to enter and leave the academy. This is your uniform, a total of 4 sets. This is the rule of the Sacred Academy that you need to remember. Alright, the Sacred Academy is divided into the East, South, West, and North Academies. Which one do you plan to join? A Sky Martial Realm attendant gave Qin Yu a pile of items and asked, what's the difference between the 4 academies? Qin Yu wore the student token on his waist. As for the 9-star token, he had already handed it over. Among the 4 academies, the East Academy is the strongest and the North Academy is the weakest. MHM, you can understand it this way. The East Academy has the most resources, the South Academy and the West Academy are second, and the North Academy has the least resources. However, the East Academy has a lot of resources and geniuses, so the competition is very fierce. The competition between the South and West Academies is relatively better. As for the North Academy, with your talent, I don't recommend you to go. The Sky Martial Realm attendant explained to Chinyu. What do you mean you don't recommend coming to our North Academy? Attendantly, do you have a problem with our North Academy? As soon as the Sky Martial Realm attendant finished speaking, a dissatisfied voice was heard. A handsome man in a white shirt with a long sword on his back stared at the Sky Martial Realm attendant with dissatisfaction. Elder Jiang. The Sky Martial Realm attendant's face turned bitter. He didn't expect that there would be an elder of the North Academy here. He was just an insignificant attendant, so he couldn't afford to offend an elder. Jiang Long, everyone in the Sacred Academy knows what Deacon Lee said. Why are you so angry? At this moment, another figure appeared. It was a man who was almost 3 meters tall and looked like a human-shaped beast. Ji Yuan, do you mean that you want to fight with me? Jiang Long's eyes were as sharp as a sword as he looked at the tall man. If you want to fight, I'll fight with you later. I don't have time to play with you now. Chinyu, for a warrior, resources are very important. You should know very well, so the East Academy is definitely the most suitable place for you. After Ji Yuan finished speaking, he ignored Jiang Long and walked toward Chinyu. The East Academy has a lot of resources, but the number of students recruited is also seriously excessive. I heard that some students in the East Academy haven't received their monthly cultivation resources for several months. The North Academy is different. As long as you come to the North Academy, I can guarantee that all the resources will be tilted toward you. Jiang Long stepped forward and said to Chinyu, don't be fooled by him. The North Academy has been at the bottom of the 4 Academy tournament for 4 consecutive years. According to the rules of the Sacred Academy, if they are at the bottom of the 4 Academy tournament, the Sacred Academy won't give out any cultivation resources. I estimate that right now, all the cultivation resources of the North Academy added up are not even enough for the core students of the East Academy to cultivate for a month. Ji Yuan grinned, and his sarcasm was obvious. Chinyu, as long as you join the North Academy, I'll give you an Earth-rank spiritual weapon. Jiang Long certainly knew that he couldn't compete with the East Academy in terms of resources, so he directly used his trump card. Earth-rank spiritual weapon. Chinyu's expression changed slightly. He seemed to be a little tempted. Spiritual weapons were divided into 6 levels: yellow, black, earth, heaven, saint, and God. Each level was divided into 9 grades. Even the lowest grade of Earth-rank spiritual weapon was enough for a martial emperor to take action. Some of the best Earth-rank spiritual weapons could even tempt a martial venerable. Chinyu didn't expect that Jiang Long could actually take out an Earth-rank spiritual weapon. Of course, that Earth-rank spiritual weapon is a little special. Whether you can use it or not depends on your luck. Ji Yuan sneered. Just as he was about to speak, Jiang Long spoke first. Special? Chinyu was slightly confused. What do you mean? Chapter 27. It means that the Earth-class spiritual weapon weighs at least 50,000 pounds and can only be picked up by someone with pure physical strength. Most importantly, it can enhance true chi and true essence. Ji Yuan added with a smile on his face. It was no secret in the Imperial Sacred Academy that the Northern Courtyard possessed an Earth-ranked spiritual weapon. However, none of the students of the Northern Campus had been able to pick it up. Why did all martial artists hope to obtain a high-grade spirit artifact? The main reason was that the spiritual weapon could enhance the power of true chi and true essence to enhance combat strength. What was the use of a spiritual weapon that couldn't enhance true chi, no matter how high its level was? Moreover, it required the user's physical strength to reach 50,000 pounds. It wasn't an Earth-class spiritual weapon, but a burden. 50,000 pounds? I'll join the Northern Campus. However, Chinyu's eyes lit up when he heard this. Great. Jiang Long laughed out loud. Chinyu, you have to think carefully. Once you decide which campus you want to join, you can't change your mind. Ji Yuan frowned and was surprised. I've thought it through. Qin Yu wasn't being impulsive. The Earth-grade spiritual tool that Jiang Long had mentioned might not be of much use to others. However, it was the perfect weapon for Qin Yu, who had cultivated the Fire Thunder Dragon body and whose physical strength had reached 100,000. As an emperor of the Heaven Realm, Qin Yu had seen all kinds of rare and strange treasures before, and he couldn't even count them. If he guessed correctly, the spiritual weapon also had the ability to enhance. However, it didn't enhance true qi and true essence, but the power of qi and blood. Ji Yuan takes a look at Qin Yu and shakes his head regretfully. He had rushed over because he saw that the inner school elder had judged that Qin Yu's martial vein had reached the level of a spiritual vein. Unfortunately, Qin Yu still couldn't resist the temptation of the Earth-class spiritual weapon. Qin Yu, come with me. I'll show you around the northern campus. Jiang Long was excited. If Ji Yuan knew about this, he naturally knew as well. With Qin Yu's talent, as long as he was properly nurtured, it was very likely that the northern campus would be able to get rid of the bad reputation of being at the bottom of the rankings. Soon, Qin Yu followed Jiang Long to the northern residence. As one of the 4 courtyards of the Imperial Sacred Academy, the northern courtyard occupied an extremely large area with numerous palaces and halls. Although the northern campus had the least number of students among the 4 campuses, disciples coming and going could be seen everywhere. After taking Qin Yu to the attic, Long Jiang went to the 100 Treasures Tower in the northern yard as promised. How is it? Did Senior Yunshi succeed? I don't think so. The hell-suppressing divine spear is too heavy. A normal person wouldn't be able to pick it up. It seems that no one in our northern campus is capable of holding the hell-suppressing godly spear. This thing can increase the power of one's true qi, so it's useless even if I pick it up. It's an Earth-ranked spirit artifact for nothing. As soon as he entered the 100 Treasures Tower, a wave of heated discussion spread out. Looks like that girl Yunshi is challenging the hell-suppressing godly spear again. Hearing the heated discussion, Jiang Long shook his head and smiled. The hell-suppressing godly spear is that Earth-ranked spirit artifact? Qin Yu asked. That's right. In the past, there was a rule in the northern campus. As long as a student can hold the hell-suppressing godly spear freely, he or she can take it away. But so far, no one has succeeded. Jiang Long smiled. Elder Jiang. Elder Jiang. Jiang. Who is this? I don't think I've seen him before. He's a new student, right? Isn't the Sacred Academy recruiting students these days? No way. A new student can be led by Elder Jiang himself? Seeing Jiang Long, the students bowed to him one after another. But more of them were looking at Qin Yu curiously. To be able to have Elder Jiang Long personally receive him, what sort of background does this Qin Yu have? In front of those students stood a young girl in a black robe with long hair. She looked to be only 16 or 17 years old, but her cultivation had reached LV8 of the Heaven Martial Realm. In the outside world, she could be the overlord of a force. Yunshi, you failed again? Jiang Long walked into the crowd with Qin Yu and looked at the young girl with a smile. I feel like I'm almost there. I'll definitely succeed next time. The young girl named Yun, she clenched her right hand, her face full of confidence. Qin Yu glanced at the young girl with a little surprise in his eyes. The young girl looked young, but the fluctuations of qi and blood emitted from her body were extremely powerful. It was clear that this young girl had quite a high level of attainment in body refinement techniques. Look at to know each other. This is Yun Shi, the strongest student in the northern campus. This is Qin Yu, a new student this year. Jiang Long smiled and introduced Qin Yu and Yun Shi to each other. Junior Qin Yu, it seems that you're quite talented. How did you get tricked into the northern campus by Elder Jiang? Yun Shi looked at Qin Yu and greeted him warmly. Girl, what do you mean by tricking? Jiang Long was dissatisfied. It's true. With the current situation of the northern campus, who would join us if you didn't trick us? Yun Shi giggled, and the surrounding students burst into laughter. All right. Since you're all here today, I'll announce something. From today onwards, the Warden's Spear belongs to Qin Yu. Jiang Long waved his hand and said immediately, Elder Jiang, what do you mean by that? Yun Shi was stunned, and the surrounding students were also stunned. The warden's spear belongs to Qin. Jianglong pointed at the warden's spear and said again, I understand. You used the warden's spear to trick him into coming here, right? Yanxi quickly reacted. Jianglong had used the warden's spear as a trick to trick outstanding students into coming to the northern campus. Jianglong was so angry that the corner of his mouth twitched. Yanxi turned a blind eye to it and said to Qin Yu, Junior, you've been tricked by him. The warden's spear weighs 50,000 pounds. You can't lift it at all. How'd I know if I don't try? Qin Yu smiled faintly and walked to the front of the warden's spear. The warden's spear was 10 feet long and was completely black. The tip of the spear was covered with mysterious patterns. The body of the spear was smooth and shiny, and the end of the spear was engraved with a black skull. Yanxi and the other students of the northern campus saw Qin Yu's appearance, and they all looked like they were watching a show. Another rookie who wouldn't turn back until he hit the wall. Qin Yu reached out and grabbed the pitch-black handle of the warden's spear. His expression changed slightly. Hey, why does this spear seem to have the aura of hell? Within the dragon's soul ancient seal, Long Yin let out a soft cry of surprise and said with some surprise, Because the power of the Hell Demon King is sealed in this spear. A smile appeared on Qin Yu's face. At the moment when they touched, he had already sensed it. The power of the Hell Demon King? Not bad. Looks like I picked up a treasure this time. The dragon's soul also laughed. To be able to bear the power of the Hell Demon King, this warden spear was probably not as simple as an Earth-rank spirit weapon. Junior Qin Yu, if you can't pick it up, you don't have to force yourself. Seeing that Qin Yu didn't move the warden spear at all, Yanxi laughed out loud. But before she could finish her words, her eyes suddenly focused. Qin Yu's 5 fingers tightened, and he easily picked up the warden spear with one hand. It can't be. Even Jiang Long stared with his mouth agape, unable to believe what he was seeing. Chapter 28. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Qin Yu moved his wrist as if he was trying to challenge their shock. The hell-suppressing godly spear, which weighed 50,000 pounds, whizzed and spun in his hand like a wheel of wind and fire. A wave of strong wind that seemed to have materialized whistled and swept out. It's quite suitable. Qin Yu held the hell-suppressing divine spear with a smile on his face. Just as he had expected, the hell-suppressing divine spear could not increase one's true qi, but it could increase one's blood qi. After the first level of the fire lightning dragon body, one's strength could reach 120,000 kilograms. In other words, there was an increase of 20,000 kilograms. When the fire lightning dragon body continued to break through, the increase in strength would be further increased. It could be said that the hell-suppressing divine spear was suitable for Qin Yu at this stage. Wait, seeing that Qin Yu was about to leave with the hell-suppressing divine spear, Yanxi came back to his senses and stopped Qin Yu. How can you lift the hell-suppressing divine spear? How did you do it? These words were not only Yanxi's question. Jiang Long and the others also looked to Qin Yu. It's very simple. As long as your physical strength exceeds the weight of the spear, it will be fine. Qin Yu said casually. You mean your physical strength has exceeded 50,000? Yanxi blinked in disbelief. Although Qin Yu's body was tall and straight, it was obvious that he was not strong. No matter how one looked at it, he did not look like he had more than 50,000 kilograms of weight. Qin Yu lightly tossed the hell-suppressing divine spear in his hand as an answer. Immediately, Qin Yu ignored Yanxi and the others and turned to leave the 100 Treasures building. What a monster! Jiang Long could not help but exclaim as he watched Qin Yu walk away with the spear on his shoulder. Qin Yu was able to lift the hell-suppressing divine spear so easily. Obviously, his physical strength was far above 50,000. Not only did he have a top 9th grade martial vein, but his body refining technique was also outstanding. After leaving the 100 Treasures building, Qin Yu returned to his loft and played with the hell-suppressing divine spear vigorously. After getting used to the weight of the hell-suppressing divine spear, Qin Yu stopped and returned to his room to cultivate. Qin Yu, these are your resources for this month. The next day, When the sun had just risen, Jiang Long came and gave him a pile of cultivation resources. Spirit Awakening Pill. After Qin Yu put away the spirit stones and pills, he took out one of the jade bottles. The Spirit Awakening Pill could help martial artists awaken their own true qi. It was a good medicine to help martial artists break through to the earth martial arts realm. According to the rules of the Sane Academy, the freshman competition of the 4 academies will be held in a month. Qin Yu, this time, you have to make our Northern Academy proud. This was the reason why Jiang Long gave Qin Yu the Spirit Awakening Pill. Because the top freshmen of the other 3 academies had already entered the earth martial arts realm. Jiang Long was worried that Qin Yu would be at a disadvantage against them, so he specially prepared an awakening pill. Thank you, Elder Jiang. Qin Yu tossed the jade bottle in his hand and chuckled. If an ordinary cultivator at the peak of the profound martial realm obtained a spiritual awakening pill, they would be extremely excited. However, Qin Yu didn't have much of a reaction. He originally planned to refine it himself, and even bought the spiritual herbs. Forget it, I'll just make do with it. After returning to his room, Qin Yu placed the Spirit Awakening Pill in his palm and completely absorbed its effect in an instant. Immediately, the 2 dragon veins in Qin Yu's body vibrated, and the battle dragon true qi suddenly boiled. Boom! Finally, a violent, muffled explosion sounded in Qin Yu's body, and the aura on his body was dozens of times stronger. Qin Yu's cultivation had broken through the bottleneck and entered the earth martial arts realm in one fell swoop. After another quarter of an hour, the battle dragon true qi in his body, which was originally light golden, gradually turned pitch black. Dark attribute. Qin Yu was a little surprised. He didn't expect this body to have the dark attribute. There are many branches of the dark attribute. Let's see what kind of ability it is. The dragon soul said, if it conflicts with the battle dragon true qi, then you can only give it up. Qin Yu nodded. After carefully sensing it, the surprise on his face became even more obvious. It's actually devouring. The true qi attribute that Qin Yu awakened was dark devouring, which could devour the opponent's true qi and even martial arts. The dark devouring attribute is quite rare. The dragon soul was also a little surprised. This attribute was much stronger than the flame attribute that Qin Yu had in his previous life. Dragon soul, did you sense the dragon bloodline in the imperial city? Qin Yu didn't dwell on this question. He stood up and asked while stretching his body. Yes, but that direction is the imperial city. The dragon soul had already sensed it before coming. The imperial city is where the Zhenwu royal family lives. I can't enter for the time being, so I can only rely on the power of pills. With this thought in mind, Qin Yu left the attic and planned to buy pills to refine the earth martial arts realm. After leaving the loft, Qin Yu walked out of the northern courtyard's boundary and passed through a training square. Suddenly, a huge clamor entered Qin Yu's ears. This is the cultivation array of our north courtyard. Why does your east courtyard have to occupy it? Somewhere in the cultivation square, the students of the 4 courtyard were gathered together. There were hundreds of spirit-gathering cultivation towns around them. Cultivating in those towns would speed up a lot. But now, the people of the east courtyard and the north courtyard were in conflict because of those cultivation arrays. Qin Yu took a look and was not interested in this kind of thing, so he planned to leave. However, in the next moment, a wild laughter caused his footsteps to pause. Why? Because the north courtyard is full of trash. It's too wasteful to let trash like you use the cultivation arrays. Is this reason enough? The one who laughed was Zhou Tianlang. You, a freshman, dare to laugh at our north courtyard. I think you're courting death. A strong young man from the north courtyard strode toward Zhou Tianlang, his tyrannical aura bursting out. The cultivation of the 7th level earth martial arts realm. Looking at your age, you must have been in the Sane Academy for several years, but your cultivation is only at the 7th level earth martial arts realm. It seems that the north courtyard is full of trash. Zhou Tianlang glanced at the strong young man and smiled contemptuously. I like to see what kind of ability you have to be so arrogant. The strong young man was angry. He threw out a palm, and light cyan, genuine chi swept out like a hurricane. Its power was amazing. It was a third-level Earth rank martial skill, Hurricane Palm. Everyone saw it. He was the one who attacked first. After successfully infuriating the strong young man, Zhou Tianlang smiled sinisterly. He clenched his right hand into a fist, and the violent, genuine chi of fire burst out, condensing into a fierce and explosive fire wolf. Zhou Tianlang rushed forward, and his right fist was like a fire wolf, fiercely attacking the strong young man. It was the 7th level Earth rank martial skill of the Zhou family, Fire Wolf Fist. Bang! The two suddenly collided, and a violent collision sound was heard. The hurricane and the fire waves shook, and the two people's bodies also trembled. Puff! But soon, the strong young man from the north courtyard turned pale. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was directly sent flying. Look, 7th level Earth Martial Arts Realm Warrior can't beat me. A 5th level Earth Martial Arts Realm Warrior. It's true that they're trash. Zhou Tianlang dispersed the genuine chi in his fist, crossed his arms, and looked at the people from the north courtyard with a proud face. Damn it! If I don't teach you a lesson, you won't know how strong you are. The students of the north courtyard were angry and gathered together. What's the matter? Does your northern district wish to exchange blows with our eastern district? Hee, it seems that you've forgotten the lesson of the last 4 courtyard competition. The students of the east courtyard gathered together, and the number was several times more than that of the north courtyard. This was also the reason why the east courtyard dominated the cultivation formation of the north courtyard. The conflict between the two sides was about to break out. Chapter 29. If you don't mind, I'll join in the fun. At this moment, a chuckle was heard. It's you. Zhou Tianlang narrowed his eyes. That white-clothed youngster who was slowly walking over was surprisingly Qin. Zhou Tianlang's face darkened, and his eyes flashed with resentment. Because of the matter with Qin, he was severely punished by Elder Liu of the Punishment Institute. The whip scars on his back are still painful even now. Qin, I heard you've joined the most useless northern courtyard. You're pretty self-aware, aren't you? Zhou Tianlang stares at Qin with a ferocious and cold smile. I don't know if the northern campus is useless or not, but I know that you're more useless than me. Qin looked at Zhou Tianlang with a chuckle. Is that so? Why don't we have a competition? Zhou Tianlang's face twitched, and his eyes became even more sinister. Although he had seen Qin use combat strength, he didn't think that he was weaker than Qin. In the ancient, desolate mountain range, if Qin didn't have a 7-stage sky martial realm blood flame Qilin, he would have killed Qin. Now that they were in the Imperial Sacred Academy, Qin wouldn't take out the blood flame Qilin, so he had no fear. Sure, Qin eyes flashed coldly. When Zhou Tianlang was looking for trouble in the ancient, desolate mountain range, Qin let him go because he had a sky martial realm cultivator to protect him. He didn't expect that Zhou Tianlang would look for trouble again in the Imperial Sacred Academy. Qin wanted to kill Zhou Tianlang because of Zhou Tianlang's repeated provocations. When the surrounding students saw this, they spread out and created a large space. Zhou Tianlang waved his right hand, and a long sword appeared in his hand. It was a 7th grade spiritual weapon of the yellow class. Among the students in the Earth Martial Realm, Zhou Tianlang was probably one of the best. Qin stood there calmly, without taking out the hell-suppressing divine spear. This caused the northern campus students to be rather flabbergasted. In a situation where there was a difference of 5 levels, was Qin planning to fight barehanded? Thud! As soon as the spiritual sword appeared, Zhou Tianlang, who had a ferocious sneer on his face, made his move. He took a few steps forward and used a movement technique to rush towards Qin. The sharp sword in his hand was covered with a fiery true chi, like a flaming longsword. Fire wave sword. Zhou Tianlang shouted when he entered the attack range. The long sword danced in the void again and again. The flame, genuine chi, intertwined and turned into waves of flame. Following the space of a sharp sword, it attacked Qin. This move was a 9th grade Earth-ranked martial skill. It was more than 10 times stronger than the firewolf fist from before. Break! Chinyu didn't even try to dodge. Instead, he threw out a punch. The battle dragon true chi inside his body roared, and a deafening explosion resounded. Immediately, the waves of flames that came one after another were directly shattered. An extremely powerful vacuum fist force even blasted on his Zhou Tianlong's body. At this moment, a wave of spiritual weapon fluctuations emanated from Zhou Tianlong's body and offset nearly half of the force. Do you have a spiritual weapon armor? Chinyu raised his eyebrows slightly. His original plan to kill by accident had to stop here. Puff! Even so, Zhou Tianlang still spat out blood and fell heavily to the ground. Zhou Tianlong's face was pale and his breathing was rapid. He looked at Chinyu in horror. If the spiritual weapon hadn't blocked nearly half of the power of Chinyu's punch, he would have most likely died under Chinyu's fist force. Chinyu wanted to kill him. A 5th-grade Earth Martial Realm warrior with a spiritual weapon couldn't even take a punch from a 1st-grade Earth Martial Realm warrior. TSK. Are all the geniuses of the East Campus like you? Chinyu looked at Zhou Tianlang with a smile. Puff! Zhou Tianlang, who was already severely injured, spat out another mouthful of blood and fainted in anger. This scene caused the surrounding students to look at Chinyu with a strange expression. They were already surprised when Zhou Tianlang defeated a student from the North Campus who was 2 grades higher than him. They didn't expect that there would be an even fiercer one now. Surpassing the 5th-grade Earth Martial Realm warrior and winning with one move was beyond their expectations. The show is over. Let's disperse. Chinyu waved his hand at the students of the East Campus. Who do you think you are? An 8th-grade Earth Martial Realm student from the East Campus stood out with a gloomy face. What else do you want? Chinyu asked indifferently. In his eyes, there was no difference between a 5th-grade Earth Martial Realm warrior and an 8th-grade Earth Martial Realm warrior. It's simple. If you want us to leave, you have to defeat me first. The 8th-grade Earth Martial Realm student moved his neck and a cracking sound was heard. You? Chinyu glanced at him and shook his head slightly. What? You don't dare? The 8th-grade Earth Martial Realm student's face darkened. Chinyu didn't take him seriously at all. Come at me together. Chinyu waved at all the students of the East Campus. Arrogant. He doesn't know how high the sky is after defeating a freshman. Lei Meng, teach him a lesson. Let him know what he is. Chinyu's words angered all the students of the East Campus. They roared again and again. You overestimate yourself. Take my saber. That 8th-grade Earth Martial Stage student is holding a 4th-grade yellow-ranked battle blade in his hand. He is aggressively chopping at Chinyu. Bang! Before the crowd could see what was going on, the 8th-grade Earth Martial Realm student who attacked flew back at an even faster speed and crashed into a group of students of the East Campus. An 8th-grade Earth Martial Realm student only used one punch. The students of the North Campus were shocked by Chinyu again. You're courting death. Kill him. The students of the East Campus who were affected flew into a rage and rushed at Chinyu one after another. 100 shadow, demonic steps. A smile appeared on the corners of Chinyu's mouth. With a flash of his body, numerous afterimages appeared. The next moment, a series of low and fierce punches accompanied by painful howls appeared. The students of the North Campus who were about to rush up to help all froze in place, dumbfounded. In the blink of an eye, one person defeated all the students of the Earth Martial Arts realm in the East Campus. Wasn't Chinyu too fierce? If he was at the peak of the Earth Martial Arts realm, they wouldn't be so shocked. But Chinyu was only at the 1st-grade Earth Martial Arts realm. Now, he could defeat a group of Earth Martial Arts realm students. If he broke through a few more levels, wouldn't he be invincible in the Earth Martial Arts realm? No wonder he could pick up the suppressing Hell Spear. He was so strong that he was abnormal. The disciples of the South Campus and the West Campus who were watching the show all looked at Chinyu as if he were a monster. The North Campus, which had always been the weakest, actually had such a strong person. It was incredible. Looking at the wailing students of the East Campus, Chinyu withdrew his violent, genuine chi and was ready to leave. You're going to leave after beating them up? However, at this moment, a slightly gloomy and cold voice sounded. Qinyu looked back. He saw a tall young man with rough facial features coming over with a group of students of the East Campus. However, those students were all in the Sky martial arts realm. None of them was in the Earth martial arts realm. Obviously, they were the elite students of the East Campus. Oh no, it's Liu Shanhe from the East Campus. Junior Qinyu, he is the 5th master in the Sky martial arts realm of the East Campus. Be careful. The excited students of the North Campus all changed their faces when they saw the rough young man and others. Chapter 30. You've already fought. Are you going to stay for dinner if you don't leave? Qinyu turned around and looked at Liu Shanhe, who was the leader, up and down. He was in the 9th level of the Sky martial arts realm. In terms of cultivation, he was stronger than Yun Shi, who was the strongest in the Northern Academy. According to the rules of the Sane Academy, students are forbidden to fight in private, but you hurt so many people in public. Today, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of the punishment institution. Seeing that Qinyu was fearless, Liu Shanhe's eyes turned cold. His strong body, with an amazing, oppressive momentum, pounced on Qinyu like a fierce tiger. Whoosh! When Qinyu was about to make a move, a low and deafening sound broke through the air. A half-foot-long iron stick surrounded by light blue spiritual patterns hit Liu Shanhe in the air. Huh! Liu Shanhe's face changed slightly. He shouted and quickly changed his attack. He clenched his hands into fists and condensed golden genuine qi. His fists were like 2 golden ancient bells, and he punched the light blue iron stick hard. Thump! 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 2 fists and 1 stick collided, and the violent energy raged. Liu Shanhe's body shook, and he retreated dozens of steps before he could stabilize his body. Whoosh! A figure leaped through the air, grabbed the light green iron rod that was flying backward, and landed on the ground. Liu Shanhe, if you want to fight, I can play with you. The person who came was Yun Shi, who was wearing a blue martial arts suit and had a curvy figure. She held the blue thunder stick and stood in front of the students of the Northern Academy. Her momentum was quite amazing. Aha, it's Sister Yun Shi. I'm no match for you. How dare I fight with you? When Liu Shanhe saw Yun Shi appear, he actually chuckled and directly admitted defeat. There was an obscure fiery look in his eyes as he looked at Yun Shi. Students in the Sky martial arts realm of the 4 academies have an agreement that they can't fight with students in the Earth martial arts realm. If you want to destroy this student, don't blame me for fighting with you in the future. Yun Shi raised her small face and said domineeringly. The corner of Liu Shanhe's eyes twitched. When he pursued Yun Shi in the past, he had fought with her in order to get closer to her. In the end, after the sparring session, he was bedridden for half a month. Since then, he had not dared to provoke Yun Shi. Firstly, it was because his strength was not as good as Yun Shi's. Secondly, Yun Shi had an elder brother in the inner courtyard. That was a demon who even dared to beat up a prince. If he provoked Yun Shi, he probably wouldn't even know how he died. Sister Yun Shi, this is the fault of this student from the Northern District. He didn't know how to control his strength. Look, so many people from the Eastern District have been injured, Liu Shanhe chuckled. Don't think that I don't know what's going on. Your East Campus actually dares to take over the cultivation formations of the Sacred Institute. Do you really think that your East Campus is the only one in the Sacred Institute? Yun Shi snorted coldly. The reason why she was able to rush over in time was that a student from a northern college had informed her of the situation, so she naturally knew the whole story. Go! Being reprimanded by Yun Shi, Liu Shanhe's expression turned ugly. However, he did not dare to direct his anger at Yun Shi. Instead, he directed it at Qinyu. If it weren't for Qinyu, he would not have been so humiliated in front of Yun Shi. Liu Shanhe glanced at Qinyu with a gloomy and cold look, then left with his people. At this point, the conflict between the Eastern District and the Northern District had come to an end. Junior brother Qinyu, I didn't expect you to be so strong. It seems that even if I go to the inner courtyard in the future, you can lead the Northern District well. Yin Shi turned her right hand and put the green thunder rod into Wang Xumi's ring. The students of the Northern District also came over one after another. After today's incident, Qin Yu had been recognized by all the students of a northern district. Those students in the earth martial arts realm were even more respectful. Qin Yu smiled. After a few polite words, he said goodbye and left. Junior brother Qin Yu, you just provoked the people of the Eastern District. Now you dare to leave the Sacred Institute. Aren't you afraid of their revenge? Seeing that Qin Yu was about to leave the Sacred Institute, she walked up curiously. Oh, I can't stay in the Northern District all the time just because I got into trouble. Of course, Qin Yu didn't care about the people of the Eastern District. With his current strength, even if he didn't use his trump card, he wouldn't be afraid of those in the sky martial arts realm. Where are you going? She smiled. She admired Qin Yu's calm and confident demeanor, which was very similar to her brother's temperament. I'm going to stroll around the Imperial City and buy some spiritual herbs. Qin Yu said. Good. I'm also going to the Thousand Weapons Pavilion. She said, and the two of them walked together. The Thousand Weapons Pavilion? To buy spiritual weapons? Yes, I customized a top spiritual weapon of the 9th grade of the yellow grade with heavenly meteorite stone last month. It should have been refined by now. She smiled. The iron rod on her now was only a 6th grade of the yellow grade. If she had a new spiritual weapon, her strength would increase again. Heavenly meteorite stone is very rare. You're in luck. Heavenly meteorite stone was a strange stone that fell with meteorites. It contained the power of stars and was extremely hard. Even a martial king realm warrior couldn't break it. Spiritual weapons made of heavenly meteorite stone were loved by many martial artists and were in short supply. The Thousand Weapons Pavilion is the strongest spiritual weapon trading company in the Great Eastern Domain. It's rumored that behind the Thousand Weapons Pavilion is the Formation Tool Alliance. Therefore, the Thousand Weapons Pavilion can take out rare materials. She said, last time I was in the Thousand Weapons Pavilion, I even saw a large piece of primal chaos stone. Unfortunately, Master Tianxiong had something to do and went out. Otherwise, it would have been integrated into my new spiritual weapon, primal chaos stone. Hearing Shi's words, Qin Yu stopped in his tracks. Are you sure it's primal chaos stone? Qin Yu's eyes flickered with joy as he interrupted Shi and asked. Of course, the pavilion master of the Thousand Weapons Pavilion personally showed it to me. After nodding, Shi looked at the excited Qin Yu and asked in confusion, What's wrong with you? Nothing. Let's go to the Thousand Weapons Pavilion first. Qin Yu said, It's impossible to have primal chaos stone in this small place, right? The dragon soul in the divine dragon ancient seal said in surprise. Not necessarily. Even the Imperial Sacred Academy has a martial ancestor realm. The martial arts standard of this continent may not be as low as we think. Qin Yu thought to himself, if there really is primal chaos stone, then you can refine a spiritual array disc and move the heaven punishment array into it in the future. Ordinary array inscriptionists basically relied on array flags and array diagrams to set up arrays. However, Qin Yu had studied the array flags and array diagrams and created a spiritual array disc. There was only one use for a spirit array disc, and that was to store spirit arrays. However, it could be instantly released when needed. In Qin Yu's previous life, the spiritual array disc was one of his major battle powers. The endless killing arrays that burst out in an instant was a headache for many sovereigns. The Imperial City was huge. Qin Yu and she walked for more than 2 hours before they arrived at the Thousand Weapons Pavilion. Miss Shi. When the deacon of the Thousand Weapons Pavilion saw Shi, he hurried forward respectfully. Deacon Duan, has my spiritual weapon been refined? Shi asked directly. You come at the right time. Please follow me. Deacon Duan led Shi and Qin Yu to the VIP room on the 2nd floor. Miss Shi, please take a look. Deacon Duan took out the spiritual weapon that she had newly refined from a sealed jade box. This time, she had refined a long spear. The long spear was only 8 feet long, but weighed 18,000 kilograms. The tip and body of the spear flickered with starlight. In addition to the power of the heavenly meteorite, there were also 3 arrays inscribed on it. Chapter 31. It is indeed a yellow grade 9 spiritual weapon. Yun Luo swung the starry spear vigorously, a smile on her face. The spear was made of heavenly meteorite stone and star crystal. The tip of the spear was indestructible, and the body was full of tenacity. On the spear, there were 3 great formations inscribed: armor break, gravity, and lightning flash. Even among the yellow grade 9 spiritual weapons, the star spear was definitely a fine item. Deacon Duan, I heard that your pavilion has a primal chaos stone for sale. Qin Yu asked Deacon Duan when she was playing with the star spear. Primal chaos stone? Young master, unfortunately, the primal chaos stone has been reserved. Deacon Duan said. Reserve? Qin Yu was stunned and said, how about I buy the primal chaos stone at double the price? It's not about the price. Deacon Duan shook his head and said, Junior Qin Yu, what do you think of the star spear? At this moment, Shi walked over with the star spear and asked Qin Yu. Qin Yu, who was thinking about how to take the primal chaos stone, looked at the star spear and shook his head subconsciously. If those geniuses who followed him to cultivate the array and weapon Dao in his previous life were to forge such a spiritual weapon, he would probably expel them directly. Junior Qin Yu, do you think the star spear is not good enough? Shi noticed Qin Yu shaking his head and couldn't help but ask. It's SOSO, Qin Yu said casually. Shi was slightly stunned, and Deacon Duan also laughed. The star spear is only a yellow-grade spiritual weapon after all. Naturally, it can't be compared to the hell-suppressing divine spear. Shi chuckled when he thought of the earth-grade spiritual weapon on Qin Yu, the hell-suppressing divine spear. I'm not saying the grade is SOSO, but the person who forged this spiritual weapon is SOSO. Qin Yu heard this and said, Young master, aren't you being a little too arrogant? Deacon Duan was stunned and looked at Qin Yu with displeasure. If it weren't for the fact that Qin Yu was brought in by Shi, he would have chased him away. After being in the true martial dynasty for so many years, this was the first time he saw someone who dared to say that the skills of their 10,000 weapon pavilion's blacksmiths were ordinary. It's just the truth. Qin Yu said flatly. Of course, if you don't want to listen, you can pretend that I didn't say anything. If not for the fact that he wanted to obtain the primal chaos high essence stone, he would have given an even lower evaluation. Since I've heard it, I can't pretend that I didn't hear it. At this moment, a maniacal voice sounded. A tall and handsome man in luxurious clothes strode in. Young Master Wu. When Deacon Duan saw the handsome man, he hurriedly bowed respectfully. Young Master Wu Xing. Shi also nodded at the handsome man. This handsome man was Grandmaster Tianqiong's disciple and a famous refining genius of the true martial dynasty. Miss Yunxi, are you satisfied with the heavenly star spear? Wu Xing smiled and asked Yunxi. Of course, I'm satisfied. Yunxi smiled. Just as she was about to ease the stiff atmosphere caused by Qin Yu's words, Wu Xing spoke first. Sir, you just said that the person who refined the heavenly star spear was ordinary, right? Wu Xing turned to look at Qin Yu, but there was no smile on his face. That's right, Qin Yu said frankly. Then do you know who refined the heavenly star spear? When Wu Xing saw this, a cold smile appeared on his face. This can't be. When she saw Wu Xing's expression, she seemed to have thought of something. That's right. The heavenly star spear was refined by my master, Grandmaster Tianqiong. Wu Xing said proudly. Grandmaster Tianqiong is back. Yinshi's face flashed with joy. Grandmaster Tianqiong's refining skills were famous not only in the true martial dynasty, but even in the entire Great Eastern Territory. In the true martial dynasty, no one dared to question the titles of Elixir King, Grandmaster Guan, and Grandmaster Tianqiong. My master happened to come back half a month ago. As Wu Xing said, he looked at Qin Yu with disdain. Now, do you still think that the refining method of the heavenly star spear is ordinary? That's the truth. She was about to smooth things over, but Qin Yu shrugged slightly, which made Shi's eyes slightly glazed. Qin Yu was too arrogant. Didn't he know who Grandmaster Tianqiong was? Huh, you also know how to refine weapons? Wu Xing was so angry that he laughed. Of course, Qin Yu also laughed. Artifact forging wasn't his specialty, but what was the most important thing for an outstanding spirit artifact other than the high grade of spirit materials? Formation. The reason why spiritual weapons could increase the power of genuine qi was because of the formation inscribed on them. Qin Yu was a master of both alchemy and formation in his previous life. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been so many emperor-level figures who didn't hesitate to ask him for guidance. Is that so? Then I'm curious. You said that the refining method of the heavenly star spear was ordinary. I wonder what you mean by ordinary? Wu Xing raised his eyebrows and glanced at Qin Yu. He looked like he had just reached adulthood. No matter how he looked, he didn't look like he knew how to refine weapons. With the spiritual materials of this spear, if it was refined by a powerful refiner, it would be enough to refine an earth-grade spiritual weapon. Even if it was slightly inferior, it would at least be a profound-grade spiritual weapon. But now, this spear has stopped at a yellow-grade spiritual weapon. To be honest, I really don't dare to compliment this refining method. Qin Yu took the heavenly star spear from Yin Shi and said, "Haha, earth-grade spiritual weapon. And it's at least a profound-grade spiritual weapon? Kid, do you think that profound-grade and earth-grade spiritual weapons are cabbages that you can refine whenever you want?" Wu Xing laughed wantonly. Even Yin, she felt that Qin Yu was a little ignorant. Putting earth-grade spiritual weapons aside, the Zhenwu dynasty didn't even have many high-grade, profound-grade spiritual weapons. Every high-grade, profound rank and earth-rank spirit artifact required a large amount of spiritual materials and a considerable amount of luck to be able to refine it. Not to mention that her heavenly star spear only used 2 spiritual materials, heavenly meteorite and stellar crystal. How about this? How about we make a bet? Qin Yu didn't care about Wu Xing's words. Instead, he tossed the heavenly star spear in his hand and chuckled. "What do you mean?" Wu Xing frowned, not understanding the meaning of Qin Yu's words. "I heard that your 1,000-weapon pavilion has the primal chaos stone, right? If I can upgrade the heavenly star spear to the profound grade, you will give me the primal chaos stone. Do you dare to bet?" The smile on Qin Yu's face grew wider. This guy, with a glance, had an extraordinary status in the 1,000-weapon pavilion. If he made a move, he should be able to get the primal chaos stone, right? In the dragon god ancient seal, the dragon's soul grinned. He knew that Qin Yu was digging a hole and preparing to scam someone. Upgrade the heavenly star spear to the profound grade? Sure enough, Wu Xing glanced at him disdainfully and sneered. "What if you can't do it?" "If I can't do it, I will leave your 1,000-weapon pavilion on my knees." Qin Yu pointed to the door and said, "Junior Qin Yu." Yunshi's expression changed slightly. Just as she was about to speak, Qin Yu reached out and stopped her. "Are you serious?" Wu Xing looked at the boastful Qin Yu with a sinister look in his eyes. Of course, Qin Yu's expression was normal. "I'll tell you in advance. Don't think that you can go back on your words if you can't do it, because you know Miss Yun Shi and are a student of the Imperial Academy. Our 1,000-weapon pavilion has an agreement with the royal family. Even if the Imperial Academy appears, they can't protect you." Wu Xing stared at Qin Yu with a sinister smile. "Since I said it in public, I naturally won't go back on my words. But are you sure you could take out the primal chaos stone?" Qin Yu smiled and said, "If you can't take it out, then we'd better not talk nonsense. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth." Wu Xing's eyelids trembled and he sneered. "Deacon Duan, go and get the primal chaos stone." Chapter 32. Young Master Wu. Master Tianxiong said that we can't touch the primal chaos supreme essence stone. Deacon Duan hesitated and whispered to Wu Xing, "Why? Do you think this kid can upgrade the star spear to the profound grade?" Wu Xing said with a hollow laugh, "Of course not." Deacon Duan shook his head. Even a profound rank weapon refiner would not be able to raise the grade of a completed spirit weapon. Even if Master Tianxiong did it, the success rate was so small that it was negligible. However, Deacon Duan understood and went to get the primal chaos supreme essence stone. "Follow me." Wu Xing sneered and led Qin Yu to the equipment refining room. Junior brother Qin Yu, what exactly are you thinking? After leaving the room, She couldn't help but ask Qin Yu in a low voice. You just have to wait and see. Qin Yu smiled faintly and didn't say anything. Seeing this, She shook her head helplessly. It seemed that she had to plead with Wu Xing later. If Qin Yu really went out of the Thousand Weapons Pavilion on his knees, he would become the joke of the entire Imperial City. He wouldn't even have the face to stay in the Imperial Academy. Soon, under Wu Xing's lead, they came to the equipment refining hall of the Thousand Weapons Pavilion and opened the equipment refining room. Young Master Wu, young Master Wu, young Master Wu, are you refining today? Do you need us to help? The blacksmiths and apprentices of the equipment refining hall were curious when they saw Wu Xing open the equipment refining room. As Master Tianqiong's last disciple, Wu Xing's inscription formation technique was much better than theirs. If they could learn a thing or two, it would be self-evident that it would be beneficial to them. Today, I'm not the one who wants to refine a weapon. It's this master who wants to raise the grade of a spirit weapon. Wu Xing sneered. When the apprentices heard this, they all looked at Qin Yu and discussed with each other. At this time, Deacon Duan brought the Primal Chaos Supreme Essence Stone over. The Primal Chaos Supreme Essence Stone was only the size of a palm. It was covered with chaotic patterns and looked quite mysterious. The quality is quite good. Qin Yu smiled after seeing the Primal Chaos Supreme Essence Stone, and the Dragon's Soul also smiled slyly. How is it? Can you refine it now? Or do you need us all to go out? Wu Xing crossed his arms and glanced at Qin Yu contemptuously. You don't have to go out. As Qin Yu spoke, he took the Primal Chaos Supreme Essence Stone and handed it to Yun Shi. Senior Sister Yun Shi, you're the owner of the Cosmic Spear. Can I trouble you to be a witness? Of course. Yun Shi was even more surprised. Qin Yu's action was clearly afraid that the 10,000 Weapons Pavilion would go back on their word, so he wanted to use her identity. Although Yun Shi didn't mind helping Qin Yu, the problem wasn't Qin Yu too confident? Could it be that Qin Yu really had the confidence to raise the grade of the Cosmic Spear to the Profound rank? If that was the case, it would be too shocking. That shouldn't be possible. He's still so young. Seeing this, Wu Xing looked at Qin Yu's calm and confident face. For some reason, he felt an inexplicable uneasiness in his heart. Qin Yu didn't hesitate. He walked to the refining table and placed the Cosmic Spear flat. With a move of his right hand, a talisman brush appeared in his hand. A talisman brush was a necessary item to inscribe spirit runes, and formation diagrams. With Qin Yu's current cultivation, he still needed to rely on a talisman brush to inscribe formation runes. Mortal grade talisman brush? However, Wu Xing and the others from the 10,000 Weapons Pavilion were stunned when they saw this. Using a mortal grade talisman brush to inscribe formation runes to raise the grade of the Cosmic Spear. Was this a joke? TSK, TSK, TSK. However, Qin Yu's expression was serious as his gaze focused. The battle dragon true chi in his body flowed out and fused into the talisman brush. The originally soft tip of the talisman brush immediately became as sharp as a sword. As Qin Yu's right hand moved, a series of profound formation runes appeared on the Cosmic Spear and gradually formed a profound formation. Qin Yu's movements were as smooth as flowing water, bringing with it an indescribable sense of beauty. In the refining room, Wu Xing, Yun Shi, and the others all subconsciously held their breaths. In their eyes, it was as if the current Qin Yu had fused with the entire world. He possessed a boundless might. Clang! 15 minutes later, Qin Yu stopped inscribing and the formation was completed. He flicked his finger and a stream of true chi entered the Cosmic Spear. Immediately, the Cosmic Spear trembled and a sharp aura was released. Profound grade spirit artifact. Feeling the tyrannical aura of the spirit artifact, Wu Xing's face was filled with disbelief as he muttered, "Impossible! How is this possible?" Those junior apprentice brothers of the Weapon Refinery Academy were all dumbstruck and speechless. Yun Shi's eyes lit up as he rushed to the refining table and stared at the Cosmic Spear. he saw that there was an additional profound formation on the cosmic sphere. The formation was extremely complicated and had a wide range. It covered all the three laws from before, and the center of gravity of the formation runes was obviously at the tip of the sphere. Profound Grade 3. After feeling the tyrannical fluctuations emitted by the cosmic sphere, Yunxi's little face was filled with excitement and shock. Just by inscribing an additional formation, the cosmic sphere actually rose from yellow Grade 9 to profound Grade 3. This kind of method was simply miraculous and inconceivable. Junior Qinyu, how did you do it? After obtaining a profound Grade 3 spirit artifact, Yunxi was so excited that his cheeks were slightly red, and he couldn't help but ask. Following Yun Shi's words, Wu Xing and those artifact craftsmen's apprentices suddenly came back to their senses. Their gazes all looked to Qinyu. Their gazes contained an unprecedented thirst for knowledge. The spirit materials of the cosmic sphere can originally be used to refine an Earth-grade spirit artifact. So, I only inscribed a profound grade formation and directly raised the grade of the cosmic sphere. Qinyu said indifferently. A profound grade formation? In that case, he's a profound grade artificer. It can't be. How old is he? He's actually a profound grade formation master. No, he raised the grade of a spirit artifact that had already been refined. His artifact refining grade might not be just profound grade. When the apprentices heard this, they were all incomparably shocked. Even Wu Xing, who was hailed as a talented artifact refining genius, the highest spirit artifact he had refined so far was only yellow Grade 5, and this was the only one so far. In front of Qinyu, Wu Xing, who was originally shining with boundless radiance, had become completely dim. This formation is called Chaotic Spirit. It has no offensive power, but when attacking, it can disrupt a martial artist's true chi and true essence. Qinyu picked up the cosmic spear and handed it to Yun Shi. It can disrupt true chi and true essence. Yun Shi was greatly shocked. The power of this formation was too terrifying. In battle, if a martial artist's true chi was disrupted, the consequences would be very fatal. According to the bet, this primal chaos stone is mine. Qinyu took the primal chaos stone from Yun Shi's hand and said to Wu Xing and Deacon Duan with a faint smile on his face, "Wait, you can't take this primal chaos stone away." Deacon Duan reacted with a jolt and hurriedly rushed over. "What do you mean?" Qinyu glanced at him. Deacon Duan's body stiffened as if he was being stared at by a ferocious beast, cold sweat dripping down his body. "Young Master Wu Xing, Deacon Duan, this bet was agreed upon previously." "Why? The dignified 1,000 Artifact Pavilion won't go back on their word, right?" Yun Shi turned around and looked at Wu Xing and Deacon Duan, who were frozen in place. Chapter 33. Wu Xing opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. The current him was no longer as arrogant as before. In front of Qinyu, who could forcibly raise the grade of spiritual tools, he didn't have the slightest temper. "Miss Yun Shi, it's not that our myriad weapon pavilion wants to go back on our word, but this primal chaos stone is something that Master Tianxiong needs. If it's taken away," Deacon Duan's face turned bitter. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have allowed Wu Xing to act recklessly. Now, if he didn't leave the primal chaos stone, he wouldn't be able to explain it to Master Tianxiong. If they took the primal chaos stone, their myriad weapon pavilion's reputation and credibility would be greatly reduced in the Imperial City. "Nonsense. When I came last month, this primal chaos stone was clearly for sale," Yun Shi said in disbelief. "This is absolutely true. The reason why Master Tianxiong came back early is because of the primal chaos stone. It said that Master Tianxiong is preparing to use the primal chaos stone to refine a high-grade, Earth-grade spiritual tool. He even specially asked for hundreds of precious spiritual materials from the Imperial City." Deacon Duan quickly said. Hearing this, Yun Shi frowned slightly and looked at Qinyu. If this primal chaos stone was really something that Master Tianxiong wanted, then Qin, you wouldn't be able to take it away. Offending Master Tianxiong for or was definitely not a wise move. Where are they? Why aren't they refining tools? Where are they? Just as Qin Yu was about to speak, an old and dignified voice sounded. It's Master Tianxiong. What's going on today? Master Tianxiong actually came personally. Those apprentice blacksmiths woke up and left the refining room. In the next moment, a tall figure entered the refining room. It was a gray-haired old man with a dignified face and a dignified face. This old man was the true Martial Dynasty's king of tools, Master Tianxiong. Master, Wu Xing and Deacon Duan, who were a little pale, quickly went up to greet him respectfully. Master Tianxiong. Yin Shi also went up and bowed. It's you, little girl. How is it? The Sky Star Spear. Not bad, right? Master Tianxiong smiled when he saw Yin Shi. Yin Shi smiled and nodded, not knowing how to answer. However, Master Tianxiong did not notice Yin Shi's strange expression. He turned to look at Deacon Duan and said, I went to the treasury earlier, and they said you took out the Grand Chaos Essence Stone? Yes, yes. Deacon Duan's face turned pale. Primal Chaos High Essence Stone is an extremely rare artifact refinement spirit material. What are you blindly taking it out for? Where's the Primal Chaos Supreme Essence Stone? Master Tianxiong scolded unhappily. This is in the hands of that young master. Deacon Duan pointed at Qin Yu. You sold it? Master Tianxiong's face darkened, and the air in the crafting room froze. No, young Master Wu lost the bet. Deacon Duan was so scared that his body trembled violently, and his face turned pale. Lost the bet? Master Tianxiong glanced at Qin Yu, whose expression was as usual, and then turned to look at Wu Xing, whose head had been lowered all this time. His expression suddenly calmed down. Tell me what happened. However, when Wu Xing and Deacon Duan heard Tianxiong's calm tone, their hearts turned cold. They knew that Master Tianxiong was really angry. Immediately, Wu Xing didn't dare to hesitate at all. He immediately told Master Tianxiong what had happened. The Star Spear's grade has been upgraded to the 3rd level of the Profound grade. How is that possible? Master Tianxiong, who was originally intimidating, was stunned. He had refined the Star Spear himself, so he clearly knew the grade of the Star Spear. As soon as he said that, Master Tianxiong realized that the Star Spear was in front of him. Girl, let me see the spear. He directly took the Star Spear from Yin Shi's hand. It's really the 3rd level of the Profound grade, and the newly inscribed formation completely avoided my 3 formations and didn't cause the slightest damage. Hiss, did he completely see through my inscribing method? After taking a closer look, Master Tianxiong took a deep breath. He was known as the king of weapons in the Jinwu dynasty, and his attainments in crafting were naturally far superior to others. He knew how many profound methods were needed to inscribe this formation pattern. Did you really inscribe this formation? Master Tianxiong raised his head and looked up and down at Qin Yu. The shock in his eyes was hard to hide. A 16-year-old boy actually had such a method of inscribing. This was too amazing. Of course. Qin Yu nodded slightly. How did you do it? Master Tianxiong couldn't help but ask. First, I used my genuine qi to sense the spiritual lines of the 3 formations. When I inscribed the new formation pattern, I just had to avoid it, Qin Yu said lightly. But Master Tianxiong's face became more and more shocked. One had to know that the most important reason why a spirit artifact could allow true energy to cover the entire spirit artifact was because of the inscriptions that covered the entire spirit artifact. If not enough space was left in advance, it was impossible to inscribe a new formation pattern. But now, someone had inscribed a new formation in the middle of the 3 formations he had inscribed, and it was a profound level formation. Even he, who had personally refined the Star Spear, couldn't do this. Young friend, may I know who your master is? Master Tianxiong's attitude became quite amiable. For Qin Yu to have such astonishing attainments in artifact craftsmanship at such a young age, it was easy to imagine how powerful the person who taught him was. Hearing Master Tianxiong's words, Yin Shi, Wu Xing, and Deacon Duan were all shocked. Master, there was actually a Grandmaster artifact craftsman behind Qin Yu. Sorry, I can't tell you this. Qin Yu smiled faintly. However, his calm appearance further confirmed Master Tianxiong's guess. He thought that there must be a master behind Qin Yu, or even a super force. Senior, you're a master of refining. I think you should accept the fact that you lost, right? Seeing this, Qin Yu tossed the grand primal chaos crystal in his hand and chuckled. It's a matter, of course, to accept the fact that you lost, but the grand primal chaos crystal is related to the earth-level spiritual weapon I'm refining this time. Young friend, can you change your bet? Master Tianxiong said domineeringly. In the Thousand Weapons Pavilion, you can exchange for anything you like. Qin Yu shook his head slightly. I'm only here for the grand primal chaos crystal. Master Tianxiong frowned. Since he became a master of refining, no one had ever refused his conditions. If it weren't for Qin Yu's amazing inscription technique, he wouldn't talk nonsense with Qin Yu. I just heard from Deacon Duan that Senior has prepared hundreds of top spiritual materials for the earth-level spiritual weapon you're about to refine. Qin Yu looked at Master Tianxiong, who didn't look too good, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Yes. Tianxiong nodded. It seems that Senior has never used the grand primal chaos crystal to refine a spiritual weapon before, right? Hearing this, Qin Yu laughed. What do you mean? Master Tianxiong raised his eyebrows. Why did Qin Yu's tone sound like he was laughing at his ignorance? Senior, do you know how the grand primal chaos crystal is born? Qin Yu asked again. How it's born? Master Tianxiong was stunned. He only knew that the grand primal chaos crystal was a very precious spiritual material. In the history of the Sky Dragon continent, someone had used the grand primal chaos crystal to refine a supreme spiritual weapon with earth-shattering power. As for how the grand primal chaos crystal was born, he really didn't know. Chapter 34. The primal chaos stone is born in a place of primal chaos. It contains both primal chaos chi and primal essence chi. Master Tian nodded. So, Tianxiong didn't quite understand, but he naturally knew the attributes of the primal chaos stone. Only when the primal chaos chi and primal essence chi are in a balance can the primal chaos stone be born. Therefore, once other spiritual materials are mixed in, the primal chaos stone will immediately explode. Qin Yu tossed the primal chaos stone in his hand. How is that possible? There's no record of this in the Xian weapon manual. Master Tianxiong was shocked. This was the first time he heard of it. If you don't believe me, you can ask around and see if other spiritual materials have been mixed in with the primal chaos stone. Qin Yu said. Master Tianxiong fell silent. He seemed to be pondering whether or not Qin Yu was trying to scare him. Since you need the primal chaos stone to forge a spiritual weapon, are you planning to use the primal chaos chi or primal essence chi to neutralize the energy of other materials? Seeing Master Tianxiong pondering, Qin Yu spoke again. Master Tianxiong didn't know that the primal chaos stone couldn't be mixed with other spiritual materials. Then the biggest possibility was that he was planning to use the primal chaos chi and primal essence chi. That's right. Master Tianxiong raised his eyebrows and nodded slowly. Obviously, Qin Yu was right. Senior, are you planning to neutralize spiritual materials of any attribute? I've been following my master since I was a child, and I'm quite knowledgeable about the art of merging spiritual materials. Qin Yu smiled faintly. Is that so? Then this old man would like to ask for some advice. Master Tianxiong's expression changed when he heard Qin Yu mention his master. He said, I've used hundreds of spiritual materials to forge an earth-grade spiritual weapon this time. But among them, the attributes of the heavenly frost stone, leaf fire crystal, and dark nether iron have been conflicting with each other, and they couldn't be merged into the embryo. Little friend, do you have a solution? Master Tianxiong looked at Qin Yu with a hint of hope in his eyes. This problem had troubled him for a long time. He had left the Zhenwu dynasty some time ago to participate in a meeting of craftsmen in the Great Eastern Territory. He wanted to see if he could get any inspiration from other craftsmen. However, it was a pity that he came back empty-handed. Previously, when he learned that the primal chaos high essence stone had disappeared, he immediately rushed back. The heavenly frost stone contains the chi of cold ice, while the fire-leaving crystal contains the power of fire. These two are like fire and water, and the dark nether iron contains the power of dark nether. This is indeed troublesome, Qin Yu said with a pensive tone. When Grandmaster Tianxiong saw this, he was immediately disappointed. After entering the secret cultivation room, Qin Yu prepared and began to inscribe on the primal chaos supreme essence stone. 5 days later, the primal chaos supreme essence stone turned into a 9-palace array disc covered with countless mysterious spiritual patterns. A first-grade spiritual array disc? The grade is a bit low and can accommodate the entire heaven punishment array. In the ancient seal of the dragon god, the dragon soul looked at the spiritual array disc and said, "I can't help it. I'm only in the earth martial arts realm now." The grade of the spiritual array disc depended not only on the array pattern, but also on the host's cultivation. In a sense, the spiritual array disc was Qin Yu's original Dharma artifact. It could increase its grade and power with Qin Yu's continuous nurturing. With a thought, Qin Yu's spiritual array disc entered the ancient seal of the dragon god and appeared in front of the celestial extermination painting. Withdraw. Qin Yu once again released the killing intent of the heaven punishment array, and the soaring killing intent raged. As Qin Yu formed a seal with both hands, the killing intent of the heaven punishment array merged into the spiritual array disc. However, when it reached the 10th killing intent, the spiritual array disc trembled slightly and reached its limit. 10 killing intents of the heaven punishment array. Qin Yu summoned the killing intent of the heaven punishment array, and a smile appeared on his face. Although it couldn't accommodate the entire heaven punishment array, with these 10 killing intents of the heaven punishment array, he had enough power to protect himself in the Zhenwu dynasty. After the spiritual array disc successfully accommodated the killing intent of the heaven punishment array, Qin Yu began to refine spiritual pills. Soon, grade 3 spiritual pills flew out of the cauldron one after another. In the following time, Qin Yu cultivated the ancient battle dragon art, while taking spiritual pills to cultivate. When a month had passed, Qin Yu's cultivation had increased by 3 levels. A cultivation of the 3rd level of the Earth martial arts realm could only be considered at the bottom of the Imperial Sacred Academy. Even among the new students, this cultivation was not considered eye-catching. However, if someone judged Qin Yu's strength based on his cultivation, they probably wouldn't even know how they died. Chapter 35. On this day, when the sun had just risen, a long bell rang throughout the Imperial Sacred Academy. The freshman assembly of the Imperial Sacred Academy was finally here. Figures walked out of the 4 academies of the Imperial Sacred Academy. At this moment, the square where the freshman assembly was held was filled with countless martial artists from different forces. Even the royal family would send people to watch the freshman assembly of the Imperial Sacred Academy. No way. I'm the only one from the Northern Academy this year? Qin Yu, who was in seclusion, was called out by Jiang Long, Yun Shi, and other disciples of the Northern Academy. To be honest, Qin Yu had no interest in participating in this freshman assembly. With his current strength, even students in the Sky martial arts realm were no match for him, let alone those freshmen who had just entered the Sacred Academy. Those short-sighted guys. It's useless even if there are more of them. Jiang Long snorted and put his arm around Qin Yu's shoulder, saying, "Qin Yu, you must make the Northern Academy proud in this freshman assembly." After saying that, he pulled Qin Yu, who was somewhat helpless, to the square of the Sacred Academy. When the lonely Qin Yu stood in the open space representing the Northern Academy, bursts of laughter sounded around the square. "Junior brother Dongfang, that guy is Qin Yu. Don't let him go so easily." However, those who laughed did not include the Eastern Academy. Last time in the cultivation formation conflict, a student in the Earth martial arts realm of the Eastern Academy was defeated by Qin Yu alone. This had been spread around the Sacred Academy for a long time, and the Eastern Academy had lost face. The one who spoke at this time was Lu Shanhe. In front of Lu Shanhe, there was a youth in white with a cold and arrogant face. Third grade Earth martial arts realm? I'm not interested. If you want to play house, go ahead. This youth in white was the ninth grade martial vein genius that the Eastern Academy had recruited this time, Dongfang Wentian. Dongfang Wentian's arrogant attitude made Lu Shanhe's eyes darken, but he did not say anything. In the Eastern Academy, Dongfang Wentian's status was far above his. He was a seedling that was focused on training. The strongest opponent this time should be Dongfang Wentian. Among the new disciples of the West Branch, a burly young man looked at Dongfang Wentian with battle intent in his eyes. This muscular young man was also a genius with a ninth grade martial vein, Wan Fenglei. This freshman competition will be the starting stage for me to become famous in the Great Eastern Territory. Among the disciples of the Southern Domain, a young man with a cold expression and a white fan in his hand spoke confidently. The surrounding new disciples all subconsciously distanced themselves from him. That was because the cold aura emanating from that young man's body was too shocking. This icy young man was the ninth grade martial vein genius of the Southern Campus, Chu Han. This year's freshman assembly officially begins. The competition is divided into two segments, the mixed battle and the top four battle. The rules are simple. We'll use an elimination system. Elders of the inner sanctum will be spectating the competition this time. Therefore, all of you must give it your all. When the bright red sun rose into the sky, a martial emperor elder appeared to preside over the freshman competition. After the simple announcement of the rules, the students of the four campuses went to draw their number plates. There were more than 100 new students participating this time. These 100 or so people would be divided into four regions. In the first round of the mixed battle, the students of each region would fight against each other. The person who won in the end would be qualified to advance to the top four battle. The top four battle would be the battle for the title of Newcomer King. The person who won in the end would be this year's Newcomer King. Almost all of the previous Newcomer Kings of the Battling Heaven Sacred Academy had become famous geniuses in the Empire. Soon, more than 100 new students were evenly divided into the four regions. No one knew if it was a coincidence or a deliberate arrangement. Today's four ninth grade martial vein geniuses were separated in this round. Let's begin. With the order of the martial emperor elder, the four regions immediately erupted into a mixed battle. Get out of here! Shadowless sword. In the first region, Dongfang Wentian held a sword and attacked brazenly. Streaks of shadowless sword light flashed in the void. The battle had just begun, but 7 or 8 new disciples in the first region were struck and eliminated. Although these new disciples were seriously injured, they did not lose their lives. This was because at the critical moment, the martial emperor elder made a move and sent the new disciples flying. In the mixed battle of the four regions, there was not a single casualty. Lightning Wind Palm. In the second region, Wan Fenglei was also domineering. The lightning wind true chi on his body vibrated as he struck out with his lightning wind palm. Wherever the lightning wind palm passed, the new disciples would be eliminated. Clang! Clang! In the third region, Chu Han's white fan was flickering with ice spiritual runes. As he waved his white fan, a solid ice blade swept out in all directions. The number of ice blades was so great that the new disciples could not withstand them and were eliminated one after another. Bang! 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 In the fourth region, Qin Yu, who was originally lazy, stepped out and charged into the new disciples when he saw them attacking him. Wherever Qin Yu went, the new disciples would be sent flying. It was like a giant beast had crashed into them, causing them to lose the ability to fight. Even though Qin Yu did not use his full strength, his physical strength of 100,000 plus the enhancement of the Battle Dragon energy is simply not something these new students can withstand. As expected of a genius with a 9th grade martial vein, the ordinary new disciples are not on the same level as them. Around the square, the eyes of the spectators fell on Dongfang Wentian, Wan Fenglei, Chu Han, and Qin Yu. From the looks of it, It was clear that this year's best newcomer king would be one of them. Whoosh! In the first region, an invisible sword light flashed, and the last new disciple was sent flying. Dongfeng Wentian advanced. Piece of cake. In the second region, Wan Fenglei's lightning wind true qi dissipated. There were no more new disciples around him. A bunch of ants. In the third region, Chu Han closed his white fan, and the surrounding wind blades turned into cold air and dissipated. Bang! In the fourth region, Qin Yu threw out a punch. A substantial fist force exploded, and the 5 new disciples who had joined forces to attack were sent flying back while vomiting blood, as if they had been hit by an ancient beast. At this point, the winners of the 4 regions had all stood out. The semifinals will now begin. The rules are simple. Those who lose will be eliminated. After resting for half an hour, the semifinals began. Qin Yu and the other 3 would fight in pairs. The 2 who won in the end would fight for the title of the new king. After the lots were drawn, the first battle of the semifinals was between Wan Fenglei and Chu Han. The second battle was between Dongfeng Wentian and Qin Yu. "You're not my opponent," Chu Han said coldly as he looked at Wan Fenglei on the battle stage. "Huh, that's what I should say," Wan Fenglei said with a smile. "You're overestimating yourself." Chu Han sneered as a powerful, icy aura swept out from his body. "That's true yuan?" "No, it hasn't completely condensed in a true yuan." Half-step to the sky martial realm. The spectators were shocked. A new disciple who had just entered the academy had already reached the half-step to the sky martial realm. Chu Han's talent was extraordinary. Chapter 36. Half-step to true origin. Wan Fenglei's face froze. He didn't expect Chu Han's strength to reach such a level. Even Dongfeng Wentian's eyes were filled with shock. There was a divide between the Earth martial realm and the Sky martial realm. When true Qi turned into true origin, there would be a qualitative increase in power. Although Chu Han was only half-step to true origin, it was enough for him to look down on the Earth martial realm. Only Qin Yu was still standing there lazily, as if he didn't see Chu Han's half-step to Sky martial realm cultivation. Boom! At that moment, Chu Han stomped on the ground and charged towards Wan Fenglei with a gust of cold wind. So what if you're half-step to Sky martial realm? As long as you're not in the Sky martial realm, there's nothing to be afraid of. Seeing Chu Han charging towards him, Wan Fenglei's aura exploded and his wind lightning true qi swept out. Wind lightning palm. As his wind lightning true qi vibrated, Wan Fenglei's hands continuously clapped. Streams of wind lightning energy condensed and continuously attacked Chu Han. Child's play. Disdain appeared on Chu Han's face, and he waved a white fan in his hand. The inscriptions on the fan flickered, and an ice-cold wind blade shot out like 10,000 arrows and instantly collided with the wind lightning palm. After a series of explosions, all of the wind lightning palm was shattered. The power of half-step to true origin and true qi was revealed. Wind lightning escape. Wan Fenglei naturally wouldn't fight Chu Han head-on. In that instant, Wan Fenglei used an extremely fast wind lightning movement technique, and in a few steps, he leapt to Chu Han's left side. Wind lightning destruction palm. Wan Fenglei took the opportunity and immediately attacked with all his strength. He clapped his hands, and dozens of streams of wind lightning energy condensed and formed a wind lightning palm. With the power of wind lightning, it shot towards Chu Han. Looking at the violent fluctuations of the wind lightning palm, even if a true Sky martial realm cultivator was hit, he would definitely be severely injured. Ice blade. Chu Han sneered and took a step back with his left foot. He didn't dodge and faced the wind lightning palm head-on. Immediately after, Chu Han's right hand moved and the white fan in his hand slashed horizontally. An ice blade emitting a frightening cold aura was formed and slashed out at an astonishing speed. With a piercing sound, the wind thunder palm was directly cut apart. Wan Fenglei, who was extremely close, was unable to dodge in time and was sent flying by the ice blade. If it weren't for the protective spiritual armor on his body, he would have been cut in half. Whoosh! Chu Han's figure flashed. Before Wan Fenglei could land on the ground, he quickly chased after him. The white fan in his hand, which was overflowing with cold air, was like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. Puff! A tearing sound appeared in the air as Chu Han's attack missed. It was the Inner Institute elder who had saved Wan Fenglei. Chu Han wins the first round of the semifinals. When the Inner Court elder saved Wan Fenglei, it meant that Chu Han had won. So strong. This is a complete suppression. Half-step Jin Yuan is indeed far superior to Jin Qi. Apart from that, Chu Han's control over half a step into true energy is also extremely proficient. I'm afraid that he will be able to truly step into the heaven realm soon. A 16-year-old in the sky martial realm? He's a peerless monster. The spectators of the freshman competition were all incomparably shocked. Chu Han's strength had shocked them. Looking at Chu Han, who had calmly stepped down from the stage, the shock in Dongfang Wentian's eyes was replaced by a trace of graveness. Chu Han's strength made him feel extremely pressured. That Chu Han's strength is already enough to completely crush an earth martial realm. Jiang Long, Yin Shi, and the others, who were originally confident in Qin Yu's strength, were somewhat shaken. Although Qin Yu had the prison-suppressing divine spear in his hand, Chu Han had defeated Wan Fenglei in just 2 moves. Obviously, Chu Han had not used his full strength. Qin Yu wanted to win the title of Newcomer King and win glory for the Northern Institute, but there wasn't much hope. The second round, Dongfang Wentian of the Eastern Institute versus Qin Yu of the Northern Institute. Under the Inner Institute elder's voice, Dongfang Wentian and Qin Yu both leaped onto the stage. Clang! Dongfang Wentian unsheathed his sword. Vaguely, there was a sharp sword aura emitting from it. Qin Yu, on the other hand, stood there indifferently. There was nothing in his hand. You're not going to use a spiritual artifact? Dongfang Wentian frowned. He had no interest in fighting Qin Yu, who was only in the 3rd grade earth martial realm. However, Qin Yu's arrogant manner of not even taking out a holy weapon made him somewhat displeased. He didn't believe that Qin Yu didn't have a spiritual artifact. As a 9th grade martial vein cultivator and the only student of the Northern Institute, there was no way that the elders of the Northern Institute wouldn't prepare a spiritual artifact for Qin Yu. If I use a spiritual artifact, I'll be bullying you. Qin Yu smiled faintly. The true qi of the battle dragon surged in his dragon vein, and the blood in his body started to boil. You're only in the 3rd grade earth martial realm. Do you think that you're so arrogant after defeating a few seniors? The corner of Dongfang Wentian's eyes twitched. He gave a cold laugh. With a movement of his body, he leaps towards Qin Yu like an eagle. Swish! 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 Before he landed, Dongfang Wentian slashed with his sword and executed the shadowless sword art. Streaks of blurry, shadowless sword light broke through the air like a gust of wind, without any order at all. With a few light steps, Qin Yu dodged all of the shadowless sword rays in an extremely skillful manner. Perhaps in the eyes of other students, Dongfang Wentian's shadowless sword art was extremely troublesome. But for Qin Yu, it was a piece of cake. If Jiang Long hadn't dragged him to the freshman competition, he wouldn't have wasted his time on it. How is this possible? Dongfang Wentian's face changed when he landed on the ground. Even someone in the sky martial realm wouldn't be able to see through the shadowless sword art so easily. How did Qin Yu do it? How dare you look down on me? When Dongfang Wentian saw Qin Yu calmly walking towards him with a calm expression, his face twitched and the anger on his face became even more intense. Qin Yu's arrogant appearance had completely infuriated him. 9 stars linked moon sword. This time, Dongfang Wentian rushed forward and waved the sword in his hand. Cold and sharp sword aura intertwined and turned into a sword aura bright moon. Around the sword aura bright moon, there were 9 shadowless sword aura, 1 bright and 1 dark, overflowing with killing intent. Break! However, Qin Yu merely threw out a punch. An incomparably tyrannical fist energy burst forth like a violent storm. The sword aura bright moon and the 9 shadowless sword aura were all scattered by the fist energy the moment they collided. Not good. Dongfang Wentian's face changed, and he immediately blocked with his sword. But he couldn't defend against the violent fist energy and was sent flying out of the arena while vomiting blood. Qin Yu won with one punch. No way. A third-grade Earth Martial Realm warrior sent a warrior at the peak of the Earth Martial Realm flying with one punch? Although his genuine chi fluctuation is only at the third-grade Earth Martial Realm, the power of his punch doesn't seem like something a third-grade Earth Martial Realm warrior can throw out. What's going on? This young man is amazing. If he reaches the peak of the Earth Martial Realm, I'm afraid he can challenge a real Sky Martial Realm warrior. The battle between Qin Yu and Dongfang Wentian shocked the spectators of the Sacred Institute once again. It wasn't that they hadn't seen people of a higher level than themselves, but someone like Qin Yu, even in the Imperial Academy, had never appeared before. Damn it! Looking at the glorious Qin Yu, Liu Shana's eyes were even colder. Originally, he wanted Dongfang Wentian to teach Qin Yu a lesson and clear the name of the East Courtyard. Who would have thought that Dongfang Wentian would become Qin Yu's stepping stone? This made him even more unhappy with Qin Yu. Qin Yu, I'll kill you. Among the students of the East Courtyard, there was a gloomy and murderous gaze staring at Qin Yu. This person was naturally Zhou Tianlang, who was seriously injured by Qin Yu and couldn't participate in the freshman competition. Since he was almost killed by Qin Yu with one punch, Zhou Tianlang's murderous intent toward Qin Yu had reached a point where he couldn't suppress it. As long as he had the chance, he would definitely tear Qin Yu into pieces to relieve the hatred in his heart. Chapter 37. You were actually defeated by a mere third-grade Earth Martial Realm with a single punch. Looks like my expectations for you were too high. Looking at the defeated Dongfang Wentian, the contempt on Chu Han's face deepened. Dongfang Wentian was the most famous among the freshmen this year. But who would have thought that he would be defeated by Qin Yu, who wasn't famous at all, with a single punch? Looks like he didn't live up to his reputation. Qin Yu is too ferocious. Looking at the victorious Qin Yu, Jiang Long and the others from the Northern Institute were excited. It looked like the Northern Institute, which had always been at the bottom of the 4 institutes, could rely on Qin Yu to make a comeback. It's your turn now. Come up. On the battle stage, Qin Yu didn't get down from the stage. Instead, he lazily said to Chu Han, after dealing with this guy, he would go back to cultivating. He came to the Imperial Sacred Institute for the myriad poison inky snake. Now, he had to quickly increase his strength and become an inner institute student. Then, he could enter the secret realm. You really think you're something. A cold light flashed in Chu Han's eyes. He took a step forward and jumped onto the battle stage with a gust of cold wind. So you're not just at the half-step true essence stage. No wonder you're so confident. After looking at Chu Han carefully, Qin Yu seemed to have discovered something and chuckled. Swish, swish, swish. After the inner institute elder gave the order, Chu Han immediately rushed out. He waved the white fan in his hand, and countless ice blades attacked like a storm. Qin Yu's figure slightly swayed and dodged all the ice blades. He took large strides toward Chu Han. You're quite capable. Seeing this, Chu Han's eyes became even colder. The shocking cold air faintly affected this part of the world. Swish! The white fan in Chu Han's hand was like a saber. He slashed horizontally and vertically in the air. 2 large ice blades formed across and slashed out with lightning speed. Break! Qin Yu didn't stop and threw out a punch. The fist force exploded, and the cross ice blades couldn't resist the power of the fist force. It's actually so powerful. Chu Han's face was filled with shock. Only when he felt the power of Qin Yu's fist at such a close distance did he realize just how terrifying the power of Qin Yu's fist was. As soon as the cross-shaped frost blade was broken, Qin Yu took a flying step forward and directly appeared in front of Chu Han. Then, he threw out another punch. A shield. Chu Han immediately waved his white fan, and a thick ice shield formed in front of him from the half-step quintessential essence seat. Bang! However, the ice shield was directly shattered. Ice shards flew everywhere, and a terrifying fist energy slammed into Chu Han's body. Poochie, Chu Han's body shook violently as he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, just as he was about to fall onto the battle stage, he waved the white fan in his right hand with all his might. A gust of icy wind burst out, and with the help of the recoil, he flipped over and landed on the battle stage. Even Chu Han, who was half a step into the heaven realm, vomited blood from a single punch. What kind of genius did the northern campus find this time? That's blood energy, right? Indeed, Qin Yu's punch contained a shocking amount of blood energy. I estimate it to be at least a few thousand pounds. Qin Yu's continuous punches had caused the surrounding spectators to be endlessly shocked. At the same time, they were also able to tell that Qin Yu possessed an extremely astonishing physical strength. A 16-year-old youth with a physical strength of a few thousand pounds was comparable to a savage beast. It was likely that Chu Han would also be defeated by Qin Yu in this battle. I didn't think that the rumor was true. It was you who took the hell-suppressing divine spear, right? Chu Han wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and the coldness in his eyes became denser. That's right, Qin Yu nodded. I was caught off guard by you. Now, I won't give you another chance. Chu Han took a deep breath, and his aura became even stronger. A shocking amount of cold air quickly spread out. Could it be that Chu Han was still hiding his strength? The spectators, who originally thought that the outcome of the battle was already decided, started discussing again. You're finally going to use your dual martial veins? Qin Yu chuckled when he heard this. How did you know? Chu Han was shocked. This was his secret, and not many people in the Imperial Sacred Institute knew about it. Of course I can tell. Qin Yu's eyes were sharp. He could tell that Chu Han had dual martial veins with just a glance. Since you know, then take out the hell-suppressing divine spear. Once I use my dual martial veins, you won't be able to take a single blow from me if you don't use your full strength. Before he finished speaking, a shocking amount of cold air rushed out from Chu Han, freezing the air wherever it passed. Dual martial veins. This is dual martial veins? Chu Han actually has dual martial veins. No wonder he reached the half-step to the sky martial realm at such a young age. After a short moment of silence, the spectators began to discuss fervently. At this moment, Chu Han's icy aura was several times stronger than before. He actually has dual martial veins? Yin Shi was stunned. Not only does he have dual martial veins, but he also has dual martial veins of the same attribute. Zhang Long squinted his eyes. Dual martial veins not only increased one's cultivation speed, but also allowed one to awaken another attribute of true qi. If the attributes were of the same attribute, then the power of dual martial veins wouldn't be stacked. Even the inner court elder looked at Chu Han with a smile on his face. Even in the Imperial Sacred Academy, dual martial veins geniuses were rare. Furthermore, Chu Han was a 9th-grade martial vein cultivator. His talent was even rarer. Are you not going to take out the hell-suppressing divine spear? Or are you not going to take out the hell-suppressing divine spear? The coldness in Chu Han's eyes deepened when he saw that Qin Yu was still empty-handed even though he had dual martial veins. I already said that I would be bullying you guys if I used a spiritual weapon. Qin Yu lightly smiled. His relaxed appearance did not show the slightest bit of pressure. Don't regret it when you lose. Chu Han roared. His figure flashed, and he rushed out with a gust of cold wind. Whoosh! Whoosh! The instant he charged out, Chu Han raised the white fan in his right hand. As the spirit inscriptions on the surface of the fan glowed, the surrounding cold air quickly gathered towards the white fan and turned into a bone-chilling cold hurricane. Then, it violently swept towards Qin Yu. Ka. Wherever the ice hurricane passed, a thick layer of ice would appear on the battle arena. Its power could be seen from this destructive fist. The corners of Qin Yu's mouth curled up into a smile, and he did not retreat at all. He clenched his right hand into a fist and took a step forward with his left foot, lowering his body slightly. Inside the two dragon veins in his dantian, the battle dragon True Chi was roaring like a giant dragon. Inside his flesh and bones, tens of millions of chi and blood energy gathered in his right hand, like rivers flowing into the sea. Destroy! Immediately after, Qin Yu's right fist suddenly shot out through the air. At this moment, an earth-shattering sound rang in everyone's ears like a clap of thunder. Everyone could only feel their ears buzzing, and they couldn't hear anything else. In their eyes, Qin Yu's right fist contained a vast and majestic fist energy. It was like a demonic dragon had been born, and it instantly shattered the powerful ice hurricane. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it pounced towards Chu Han. Looking at the destructive aura, if one was hit by the attack, they would definitely die. Boom! In the eyes of Chu Han, whose face was filled with shock and was suppressed by the terrifying fist energy, the destructive fist energy suddenly exploded. At this moment, the battle arena directly collapsed. Smoke and dust rose in all directions, and the arena turned into ruins. Chapter 38. When the dust settled, the onlookers were all dumbfounded. In the middle of the arena, there was a huge pit that was at least 30 meters wide. In the deep pit, he could still clearly sense a destructive fist force raging about. Plop! Suddenly, Chu Han, who was pale and covered in cold sweat, collapsed to the ground. In front of him, the inner court elder stretched out one hand, and a solid wall of true essence quietly disappeared. If it weren't for the inner court elder's help, Qin Shu wouldn't even have bones left. Top heaven-level martial arts technique. This kid is a peerless genius. In the future, he will definitely be able to walk out of the imperial court and become famous in hundreds of countries. The inner court elder couldn't hide the astonishment in his eyes. Third-stage Earth martial arts realm cultivators could completely master a top heaven-level martial arts technique. Qin Yu's martial arts talent is so strong that even he is extremely shocked. In addition to cultivation talent, martial arts talent was also very important to a warrior's talent. The former determined the level of cultivation, while the latter determined the strength of battle. Looking at Qin Yu's appearance, it was obvious that he had both. This naturally surprised the inner court elder. He's really only in the third stage Earth martial arts realm. This power is no weaker than the Sky martial arts realm. God, what kind of monster is this? The sound of Chu Han, sitting on the ground, caused the stunned onlookers to recover their wits. A clamor that soared to the sky continuously resounded. A super genius with dual martial veins had been completely crushed. This year's freshman competition was no less exciting than the previous 4 academy competitions. Qin Yu didn't pay attention to the heated discussion around him. He withdrew his fist and left the square under the admiring, envious, and jealous gazes. Qin Yu didn't feel the slightest bit of emotion about winning the title of freshman competition. Of course, Qin Yu didn't feel anything, but Jiang Long and the others from the Northern Court were excited. The Northern Court had a freshman king this year, so the cultivation resources of the Saint Court would definitely be more focused on him. In less than half a day, the news of the battle of the freshman king of the Imperial Court spread throughout the Imperial Court. Because of this, Qin Yu's name became famous in the Imperial dynasty, and countless factions were investigating Qin Yu's background. With such amazing talent, he would definitely become a famous expert in the 100 nations in the future. Royal Sacred Academy, Outer Court, East Court. I can't wait any longer. I have to get rid of Qin Yu as soon as possible. Zhou Tianlang walked all the way back to his room in trepidation. His eyes flashed with fear, horror, resentment, and murderous intent. After witnessing Qin Yu's battle today, Zhou Tianlang's desire to kill Qin Yu grew stronger, and he could not get rid of it. Qin Yu's talent was too terrifying, so terrifying that it made him unable to eat or sleep in peace. The Shui clan, one of the super families in the Imperial City. Qin Yu? Could this person be the dragon spirit city's Qin Yu that the emperor mentioned before? In the Shui clan, a middle-aged man looked at the report in his hand and raised his eyebrows. Yes, young Master Tianwu ordered us to report immediately when he arrived at the imperial court. But young Master Tianwu is in seclusion trying to break through to the martial king realm. A muscular man knelt on one knee and respectfully replied, "Third-grade Earth martial realm, but his battle strength is comparable to a sky martial realm cultivator. He can even pick up the hell-suppressing divine spear of the Northern Court. He also has a 9th-grade dual martial vein that is close to a spirit vein. This person can't be left alive." After the middle-aged man read the report on Qin Yu, his eyes flashed with murderous intent. A 16-year-old third-grade Earth martial realm cultivator was not very outstanding in the Imperial City. But in his hand was Qin Yu's detailed report. He knew that Qin Yu's martial vein had been stolen and his cultivation scattered. After sleeping for 2 years, he had awakened with his second martial vein. In just a few months, he had risen to the top and reached the third-grade Earth martial realm. Wasn't such talent a little too terrifying? If it wasn't for the matter of Shui Yutong of the Dragon Spirit City branch, the Shui family would definitely try to rope in such a genius. But since Shui Tianwu had already formed a grudge with Qin Yu, the Shui family naturally could not let Qin Yu grow. In the Imperial Court, Qin Yu did not know what was going on in the outside world. Even if he knew, he would not care. After the freshman competition ended, Qin Yu returned to his loft and cultivated in seclusion. The reward for the newcomer king was delivered the next day. A heaven-rank cultivation technique and martial skill, as well as many high-quality spirit pills. Qin Yu did not care about these rewards. After cultivating in seclusion for nearly a month, with the help of the 2 dragon veins and the spirit pills, Qin Yu's cultivation broke through continuously and reached the 5th level of the Earth martial realm. With the increase of the battle dragon True Qi, Qin Yu took the opportunity to condense a 3rd dragon vein. Now, his cultivation speed had already increased by more than 3 times. On this day, when Qin Yu was cultivating, Jiang Long of the Northern Court came to his door. "Academy mission?" After hearing Jiang Long's words, Qin Yu frowned slightly. He did not even have enough time to cultivate now. How could he have time to go out and carry out missions? This is the rule of the sacred court. The flowers in the greenhouse cannot withstand the wind and rain. So, whether it is the outer court or the inner court, every once in a while must leave the sacred court to carry out missions. This way, they can hone their combat strength. Jiang Long said, "Okay." Qin Yu wanted to refuse directly, but after thinking about it, he agreed. Instead of staying in the imperial court and being disturbed from time to time, it was better to just leave and cultivate in the outside world. Anyway, he did not need to rely on the cultivation resources of the imperial court. This is the mission of the Northern Court. Jiang Long handed the mission to Qin Yu. Exterminate bandits? The mission of the Northern Court was to exterminate a group of bandits at the border of the Zhenwu dynasty. That group of bandits had been roaming around the border, robbing and killing ordinary people. According to the intelligence, the highest cultivation of that group of bandits was only in the Earth martial arts realm. So the outer court students in the Earth martial arts realm were enough to deal with them. After reading the mission, Qin Yu prepared a little and left the imperial court with the other students of the Northern Court. After Qin Yu left the sacred court, 2 pieces of news quickly spread out of the imperial court. "Ha! This news came at the right time." Zhou Tianlang, who was carrying out a mission outside, looked at the intelligence in his hand with a ruthless look in his eyes. This person can't be allowed to go back to the imperial court alive. The middle-aged man of the Shui clan gave a gloomy order after receiving the news. Now the imperial court did not focus on protecting Qin Yu. This was a great opportunity. If Qin Yu managed to escape this time, the Imperial Sacred Academy would definitely be alerted. It would not be so easy to do it again in the future. 7 days later, on the spacious official road, a group of Earth martial arts realm warriors was galloping fast. This group of people was Qin Yu and other students of the Northern Court who came to exterminate bandits. According to the intelligence of the Imperial Court, The bandits are in front of us. Everyone, cheer up. The leading young man of LV9 of the Earth Martial Arts realm looked at the map in his hand and said in a deep voice. Hearing this, the students of the Northern Court were all shaken. There's a smell of blood. At this time, Qin Yu's nose twitched slightly as he smelled the strong smell of blood coming from the front. After passing through the official road, they came to the place where the smell of blood was coming from. It was a small town. The situation of the small town was extremely miserable. The houses had collapsed, and in the ruins, corpses were lying in pools of blood. There were old people and children, but no one was alive. Obviously, there had been a massacre. Chapter 39. Damn those bastards. They didn't even spare the elderly and the children. After walking around the small town, the students of the Northern College were seething with anger and killing intent. We didn't find the woman's body. She must have been taken away. The young man in the lead walked around the town and met up with the students of the Northern campus. Judging from the blood and the corpses, it seemed to have happened 2 hours ago. We just need to find the right direction. If we chase after them now, we should be able to find them. But the problem is that there are horse hoof prints all around the town. Which direction should we go? The students of the Northern campus talked to each other. The horse hoof prints must have been left by the bandits to prevent them from being tracked. They're heading east. Qin Yu, who had been silent all this time, looked east. East? Junior Qin Yu, are you sure? The students of the Northern campus looked at Qin Yu. Although Qin Yu was not the leader of their group, his strength was definitely the strongest among them. I'm sure. Qin Yu immediately gets on his horse and chases east. Seeing this, those Northern Courtyard students follow him one after another. After chasing for dozens of miles, they followed the horse hoof prints and came to a mountain range. In the ancient forest at the edge of the mountain range, there was a simple tent. Waves of wild laughter and the shrill voice of a woman could be heard. Those bastards! Hearing those voices, the students of the Northern campus naturally knew what the bandits were doing. Without wasting any time, they unsheathed their spiritual weapons, jumped off their horses, and rushed over. Whoosh! 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 Qin Yu did not move, but he flicked his right hand and shot out 3 darts. The bandit who was hiding in the dark and aiming at the students of the Northern campus with a crossbow was killed instantly. Who's there? Come out! There's an enemy attack. The murderous aura of the students of the Northern campus attracted the attention of the bandits. Figures rushed out of the tent. Although their clothes were disheveled, they seemed to be well-trained. Seeing this, Qin Yu raised his eyebrows slightly. Those bandits didn't look like bandits. Instead, they looked more like soldiers in the army. Could they be from the 100 Battles dynasty? This mountain range was the border between the Zhenwu dynasty and the Baijian dynasty. It was indeed possible for the warriors of the 100 Battles dynasty to disguise themselves as bandits and cross over to kill and loot. Clang! Clang! The battle between the two sides was about to break out. Although the Northern campus students outnumbered the bandits, they had the upper hand in the battle and firmly suppressed the bandits. Oh no, they're the geniuses of the Zhenwu dynasty's Imperial Academy. Run! Facing all of the Earth martial arts realm, the bandits quickly couldn't hold on and turned to flee. Pung pung pung. However, at this moment, a series of shockingly powerful fist radiances continuously blasted through the air, accurately bombarding the bodies of the fleeing martial artists. Following a series of violent explosions, the cultivators exploded one after another. None of them survived. Qin Yu, making a move, thoroughly crushed the hopes of those martial artists. One by one, they were defeated swiftly. Leave a few alive and bring them to the authorities to interrogate them. The leading youth of the Northern campus seemed to have discovered these martial artists. After instructing them to leave a few alive, he rescued the women in the tents. At this point, their mission could be considered to have been successfully completed. These captives and these women would be arranged by the authorities directly under the imperial family. Boom! However, just as they were about to leave, a huge fireball of 10 feet in size suddenly shot out from the mountain range. Wherever the fireball passed, the ancient trees and boulders were incinerated one after another, leaving a terrifying fire path on the ground. It's the martial king realm. The dragon soul and the dragon god ancient seal immediately sensed it. Hell, suppressing divine spear. Chinyu took a step forward and rushed towards the fireball head-on. The hell-suppressing divine spear shot out, and man and spear became one, like a dragon emerging from the sea. Whoosh! A pure chi and blood energy turned into a fist-thick spear radiance at the tip of the spear and split the fireball in half. Rumble! The fireball split apart and rushed past Chinyu on both sides. Then it exploded violently. Raging flames that were as violent as molten lava swept out with a loud rumble. In an instant, the area within a radius of dozens of feet turned into a sea of flames. Even the Earth Martial Arts Realm students of the Northern Campus found it difficult to resist the power of the true origin fire. Those ordinary women and captives were instantly turned into ashes in the rolling flames. There are 5 martial kings and 20 sky martial arts realm. A cold, killing intent appeared in the dragon soul's huge eyes. Looking at the casualties of the Northern Campus students, Chinyu narrowed his eyes. It was impossible for martial kings to be reduced to bandits. Moreover, 5 of them appeared at once. This was definitely not a coincidence. And the true origin fireball just now was clearly locked onto him. Could it be that they were specifically targeting him? Thinking of this, Chinyu held the hell-suppressing divine spear in his right hand, and a spiritual array disc appeared in his left hand. He flew into the ancient forest. His target was the place where the 5 martial kings were hidden. Whoosh! Whoosh! When Chinyu rushed out, true origin fireballs appeared one after another. Chapter 40. How is this possible? The eyes of the 3 martial kings, who had their arms crossed and were watching the show with cold eyes, bulged out. Their eyes were filled with shock. 2 martial kings were crushed by a rank 5 Earth martial realm cultivator with 1 palm. Even though such a shocking thing happened right in front of their eyes, they still couldn't believe it. Chinyu's figure flashed. After taking the 2 Sumeru rings, he rushed towards the 3 martial kings like lightning. When a cultivator reached the martial king realm, they could fly. That was Chinyu's biggest weakness right now. Therefore, he had to kill these 3 martial emperor realm cultivators before they could react. Not good. Feeling the terrifying killing intent from Chinyu, the 3 martial kings felt a chill run down their spines. They subconsciously formed wings with their true origin and prepared to fly into the air. Die. However, at this moment, Chinyu's speed abruptly increased by several times. He turned into an illusory shadow and rushed before them like lightning. Bang! Bang! Of the 3 martial kings, other than the rank 7 martial king, the other 2 were instantly killed by Chinyu. Dragon Soul, seeing that rank 7 martial king flying at an extremely fast speed, with a thought from Chinyu, he also jumped high into the sky. Rumble. The dragon soul understood, and the huge blood flame Qilin immediately rushed over. It jumped up and fiercely collided with Chinyu, who was in the air. Chinyu, who stopped his momentum, stepped on the blood flame Qilin with the tip of his foot. Borrowing the huge collision and rebound force, he quickly chased after the rank 7 heavenly martial realm cultivator with cold sweat on his face. Boom! When they were 20 meters apart, Chinyu's left hand suddenly shot out. Within the spiritual formation plate, 2 heaven-punishing killing intents overlapped. Like a hurricane of destruction, they crossed the distance between them and fiercely bombarded the rank 7 heavenly martial realm cultivator. As expected, the rank 7 heavenly martial realm cultivator also exploded. With a flash of true origin, Chinyu swept away the Sumeru ring and flipped in the air. He was caught by the blood flame Qilin in the air and safely landed on the ground. Huff! Chinyu exhaled slightly. Fortunately, those martial kings were frightened by his means. Otherwise, if 3 martial kings were to attack him from the sky, he would have no choice but to flee. Not good run. He's definitely not in the Earth martial arts realm. When the 20 Heaven Realm warriors saw that Qin Yu landed safely, they were already scared out of their wits, and they all fled for their lives. In their hearts, Qin Yu was already able to stand shoulder to shoulder with experts like the Martial Emperor. Looking at the North Campus student lying in a pool of blood, a cold light flashed in Qin Yu's eyes as he activated Ghost Shadow Demonic Track. Puff! Puff! Those Sky Martial Realm cultivators didn't even get far before they were all killed by Qin Yu's heaven-punishing killing intent. But at this moment, a great sense of danger suddenly appeared in Qin Yu's mind. Almost without thinking, Qin Yu immediately used 100 Shadows demonic steps and dodged to the side. Crack! The moment Qin Yu moved to the side, the ground where he was standing suddenly cracked and 2 stone pillars rushed out of the ground. The Dragon Soul's reaction was a step too slow. The blood flame Kirin's head was pierced and its life force was exhausted. It's a martial emperor. The Dragon Soul immediately returned to the ancient seal of the Dragon God and warned, "Apart from the Zhou family, are there any other forces that sent people to kill me?" Qin Yu's eyes flashed. Obviously, the martial emperor who attacked him was not a martial emperor from the Zhou family. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him not to save the 3 martial kings. In any force in the Zhenwu dynasty, a martial king was definitely a force that couldn't be ignored. Shui family. A thought flashed in Qin Yu's mind. In the imperial city, apart from Zhou Tianlang, only Shui Tianwu had a grudge with Qin Yu. Previously, Qin Yu had found it strange that Shui Tianwu, who was arrogant in the past, didn't do anything after he came to the Imperial Sacred Institute. Who would have thought that it was not that Shui Tianwu did not make a move? Instead, he had been preparing his trump card in the dark. As soon as he made a move, he immediately sent out a martial emperor. While Qin Yu was thinking, a figure appeared in the air. He was about 200 feet above Qin Yu and looked down at Qin Yu coldly. Now that the heaven-punishing killing intent has been exposed, it won't be easy to kill this person. The Dragon Soul looked at the martial emperor and said, "Unless you can get close to him. Judging from his appearance, he won't give me a chance to get close to him. I can only run." Qin Yu glanced at the martial emperor, who kept a distance of 200 feet from him. He knew that the martial emperor must have carefully observed his previous battle, so he immediately ran away. He was forced to run away by a martial emperor. The Dragon Soul's killing intent was dense. It felt like a tiger that was bullied by dogs, or a dragon that was teased by shrimps in shallow water. How could Qin Yu not feel this way? He was the Dragon God Emperor of the Qinyan domain, whose name shook the world. Unfortunately, no matter how strong he was in his previous life, he was only a level 5 Earth martial arts realm now. Boom! Boom! Seeing this, the martial emperor flew into the air and chased after him. Streaks of earthy yellow true essence that contained terrifying power rained down like a torrential storm. With Qin Yu as the center, the area within 100 feet radius was indiscriminately attacked. Qin Yu relied on the Earth-class spiritual weapon, the hell-suppressing divine spear, and the Fire Thunder Dragon Body to avoid the vital essence attacks. If it was too difficult to dodge, he would use the heaven-punishing killing intent to shatter it. The power of the heaven-punishing killing intent was so strong that even a martial emperor would most likely die if he was hit directly, let alone break through the attack of a martial emperor. However, the 10 streaks of heaven-punishing killing intent stored in the spiritual array disc had been used up when he fought against the Zhou clan's martial king in the heaven martial arts realm. Qin Yu could only rely on the strength of his body to withstand the damage caused by the explosion of the heaven-punishing killing intent in the fairy extermination painting. Under the continuous use of the heaven-punishing killing intent, even the level 1 Fire Thunder Body had bloody wounds on his hands, which were dripping with blood. But it was also because of this that Qin Yu managed to avoid fatal injuries. Sensing the surrounding terrain, he flew into the depths of the mountain range. Only by using the complicated terrain could he possibly get rid of the martial emperor. However, that martial emperor had clearly also sensed Qin Yu's intention. Streaks of vital essence attacks accurately locked on a Qin, making it impossible for him to get rid of them. After a martial artist entered the martial emperor realm, he would have the initial awakening of the soul power. It would not be easy for Qin to get rid of them. Such a terrifying killing intent, yet it can be unleashed continuously. What kind of treasure does this kid have on him? At this moment, the eyes of the martial emperor who was chasing Qin were filled with greed. From the time Qin fought with the 5 martial kings to now, when he was being chased, he had released the terrifying killing intent nearly 40 times. The killing intent was powerful enough to make him feel the threat of death, but Qin seemed to be inexhaustible. This made the martial emperor feel a strong sense of greed. As long as he could obtain that treasure, he could become one of the few experts in the Jinwu dynasty. At this moment, Qin, who was escaping in a sorry state, suddenly changed his direction. His eyes lit up. Soon, Qin arrived in front of a pitch-black cave. Qin turned his head and looked coldly at the martial emperor who was chasing him. His figure flashed as he directly entered the cave. This caused the martial emperor who was chasing after them to frown. After Qin entered, the aura fluctuations on his body immediately disappeared. He could not sense it, which greatly exceeded his expectations. Preparing to kill him, looking at Qin, who had used the dark shadow aura holding technique to hide behind the shadow of a sharp stone, as if he had fused with that sharp stone, the dragon soul saw through Qin plan. Of course. Qin chest trembled slightly as he circulated his breathing. His gaze was simple and calm. He did not show any signs of life, as if he was just a stone. So what if you were a martial emperor? How dare you chase after me? You're tired of living. Chapter 41. I'm just afraid that he won't dare to come in. Thinking of the caution of the martial emperor, the dragon soul said, if this dragged on, they would be in danger if the martial emperor had other helpers. No, he'll come in. Qin sneered in his heart. He had already noticed the greed in the martial emperor's cold eyes. As a martial emperor, he would definitely not let go of such a treasure in the hands of an earth martial realm cultivator. As long as that person could not suppress the greed in his heart and entered the cave, he would be dead. The situation was just as Qin expected. After a short hesitation, the martial emperor flew to the entrance of the cave. The martial emperor was obviously still very afraid of the danger of the heaven-punishing killing intent. After landing, a layer of true essence several feet thick appeared around his body. A thick shield appeared in his left hand, and a few talismans appeared in his right hand, shining faintly. Looking at his solemn posture, it seemed that he was not dealing with an earth martial realm cultivator, but a martial venerable. Ka. After some preparation, the Sumeru ring on the martial emperor's hand flashed. A wooden puppet beast landed on the ground and walked into the cave. On top of the puppet beast's head, there was a dazzling white light emitting. The situation in the cave was clear and bright. The martial emperor looked around carefully and saw a line of footprints on the ground. It was obvious that he had rushed into the depths of the cave. Do you think that I can't do anything to you just because you restricted flying? The martial royal realm expert sneered and slowly walked into the cave. Under such a bright light, Qin had nowhere to hide. In his opinion, Qin rushing into the cave was undoubtedly forcing him into a dead end. The killing intent was indeed terrifying, but the cave was so big. With his current speed and defense, he could completely avoid being hit directly. As long as he avoided the first attack, Qin would definitely die. For a martial emperor to kill a puny earth martial realm cultivator was no different from crushing an ant. Whoosh! However, just as the martial emperor walked to a small sharp stone, the martial emperor suddenly stopped. A streak of black light, which was inconspicuous even under the illumination of the white light, flashed and rushed to the martial emperor's side. Not good. The martial emperor's pupils constricted, and he immediately prepared to use his movement technique to dodge. But in that instant, A powerful soul force attack pierced through his true origin shield like a sharp knife, piercing into his mind. The martial emperor's body trembled, and his eyes clearly became vacant. Bang! In the next moment, Qin Yu struck out with his palm. A monstrous, murderous aura wildly erupted. A tunnel that was dozens of feet deep was blasted open on the stone wall of the cave. Cough, cough. Qin Yu finally felt relieved after turning the martial dominator realm cultivator into a headless corpse. At this moment, his face was deathly pale and bloodless. His aura was weak, and he was coughing nonstop. There was a faint trace of blood accompanying his coughing. It will probably take me a few months to recover my soul power and heaven-punishing killing intent. The dragon soul inspected Qin Yu's injuries. The secret soul technique had exhausted almost 90% of Qin Yu's soul power. Qin Yu's opponent this time was a martial dominator realm cultivator, not the earth martial arts realm cultivator. Ordinary secret soul techniques would not be able to knock him out. In addition to the great depletion of his soul power, Qin Yu's left hand's flesh, bones, meridians, and internal organs had suffered a great backlash from the heaven-punishing killing intent. After all, Qin Yu had used the heaven-punishing killing intent too many times to fight with the martial emperor. It was fortunate that his physical body had not collapsed. In the heaven-punishing formation, there were only 57 of the original 99 heaven-punishing killing intent left. Although the killing intent could gradually recover as long as the original killing intent did not collapse, it needed to absorb the killing intent. In other words, the killing intent of the heaven-punishing formation could only be completely recovered in a fight. Luckily, I found it interesting and cultivated the dark shadow, aura, holding skill. Qin Yu naturally knew about his injuries. He immediately sat cross-legged on the ground and consumed a few advanced spiritual pills. The dark shadow, aura, holding skill was an assassination skill in the dark world of the Qinyan realm. After cultivating it, not only could one completely restrain one's life force, true qi, soul, and other fluctuations, but one could also merge with the surrounding shadows. Even the slightest bit of black light could be hidden in it. The assassin Dizun who tried to assassinate Qin Yu had almost succeeded. I have to step into the martial king realm as soon as possible. The dragon soul's expression was grave. To a certain extent, luck played a big role in being able to kill the martial emperor this time. If there were two martial emperors next time, or a martial honorable who was stronger than the martial emperor, they would not be able to escape. Yes, Qin Yu nodded. Increasing his strength was indeed the most important thing now. Even with the heaven-punishing killing intent, it was not enough for him to be safe now. 2 hours later, Qin Yu's injuries had mostly recovered. After destroying the martial emperor's body, Qin Yu filled the spiritual array disc with the heaven-punishing killing intent and quickly left. Hey, Dragon Soul, did you sense it? Qin Yu, who was running through the mountain range in search of a secret place to heal, slightly changed his expression. It's the aura of the dragon scale fruit, and it's gradually ripening. The dragon soul's huge eyes were filled with joy as it immediately sensed it. Southeast. Qin Yu immediately changed his direction and flew away at an extremely fast speed. The dragon scale fruit was rumored to be a strange fruit that contained dragon blood. There was once a martial artist who had swallowed the dragon scale fruit and awakened the dragon bloodline in his body. For ordinary people, these were just rumors. However, Qin Yu knew that the dragon scale fruit did indeed contain the power of dragon blood. This was because the dragon scale fruit could only grow after absorbing dragon blood. More importantly, the dragon scale fruit only existed for a quarter of an hour after it had ripened. This also made the dragon scale fruit extremely rare. Unless one encountered it on the spot and swallowed it, it was impossible to get a dragon scale fruit on the market. Unexpectedly, there was a dragon scale fruit here. This made Qin Yu and the dragon's soul overjoyed. Half an hour later, Qin Yu crossed more than half of the mountain range and arrived in front of a deep canyon. Following the aura of the dragon scale fruit, Qin Yu came all the way to the depths of the canyon and finally saw the dragon scale fruit. On the stone walls of the canyon, there were vines the size of a baby's arm. They were like dragons flying in the sky, crisscrossing and covering more than half of the stone wall. In the center of those vines, there was a palm-sized fruit with a pale golden body. On the surface of the pale golden fruit, dragon scale-like patterns could be clearly seen. Sure enough, it's about to ripen. What a good opportunity. Qin Yu's eyes lit up. A dragon scale fruit was equivalent to thousands of spirit pills. After all, no matter how good spirit pills were, one could not always use them to accumulate cultivation. This was a big taboo. Sneak attack? Suddenly, Qin Yu's ears twitched slightly. His eyes turned cold, and he quickly moved aside. Ka. 3 sharp arrows, with a sharp sound, shot straight into the stone wall. If Qin Yu had not noticed just now, he would have been killed by the arrows. Not bad. A mere Earth martial arts realm martial artist can avoid my attack. A sinister laugh sounded. A young man in his early 20s, wearing a long bow and wearing a luxurious robe, entered the canyon with a team of guards. The person who shot the arrows just now was obviously him. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.